Good evening. I need, yes, there we go. There's enough council members. We've got them in the room.
Yep.
We've got them in the room. Thank you. I'm going to call to order this Pflugerville City Council special joint meeting at 6:01 p.m. on May 19th, 2026. I want to welcome our Charter Review Commission. Mr. Chair, do you need to call to order?
I will call to order the Charter Review Commission at 6:01 as well.
All right, thank you.
We have one.
The first item on our agenda is, of course, public comment. Is there anyone from the public wishing to make a public comment at this time? Moving on, we will open the items related to our Charter Review Joint Special Meeting, presentation of Charter Review Commission report of findings and recommendations. Before we do that, I want to just extend my gratitude to the Charter Review Commission. I know there have been some late nights, probably some drawn out, hopefully not tedious conversations, but well-informed conversations, I'm sure. This is good governance. This is our governing document, and I appreciate each and every one of you for taking the time and putting in the effort to make this happen, and thank you for being with us here tonight.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I like this.
All right.
This is good.
So who's doing our presentation?
Philip.
You got a presentation on your side, or are you looking for
Presentation of Charter Review Commission report and findings of recommendations.
I'll start us off.
Okay.
First of all, on behalf of the commission, I'd like to thank council for your nominations, for putting us here. I think you assembled an excellent body representative of our community, and we are all grateful to serve in this capacity. Similarly, on a personal note, I want to thank all the members. We did put in a lot of late nights. I know I set the cap at 10 p.m. and we ran right up to 10 p.m. most evenings. So I appreciate your hard work. I appreciate the research that you put in before we came and got together. And I just want to, on behalf of the community, thank you for your work. That said, and I also would like to thank our city attorney and our city secretary, who were also shoulder to shoulder with us, answering newbie questions that we had because, we don't know everything. And Mike and Trista were instrumental in helping us develop what we're presenting to you here today. So thank y'all. That said, you will notice there was a neat letter. I'm not going to read through the review there, but the summary of proposed amendments, there are 19 in total. And rather than exhaustively going through those, I will announce that maybe half or more of them, as our attorneys on the dais may say, are de minimis in nature.
Oh my gosh.
That is, they don't impact city governance per se. They're just merely updating either a legal requirement referencing state law or some typos and whatnot. And so I'm going to move forward to Amendment 4 regarding the new section. I just moved my page. Let me get back to page 7. 203 in terms of artificial intelligence protections. We had a lot of discussion on this. And in fact, at the end, we will have one of our items as a recommendation. This particular amendment to the charter is more general in terms of, if passed by our community, it gives a requirement on council, if you will, to create an artificial intelligence policy. And I know that there was already a lunch and learn yesterday, and I'm grateful to see that the council is already ahead of this, of course, and working towards that, because we all recognize the importance in terms of our autonomy as citizens and our personal and civil rights. And so this particular amendment just asks that City Council shall, love that legal word, shall adopt protections governing the collection, use, retention, and oversight of data, facial recognition, and surveillance technologies, and more on there relating to AI.
May I ask you a question?
Sure.
I was first of all, I was curious about why you started here, and I was under the impression we were going to go through each one of them. Is this where it starts, or you're not going through each one of these?
Amendment 1, 2, and 3, I believe, are
You're right.
You're saying those are all cleanup?
Yeah, there's
they're
Yeah.
cleanup, they're
Yeah.
minor things, and so I'm going to skip around. If I skip one that anyone, if you or anyone else thinks is of significance, please stop me. And I'm more than happy to circle back to it.
All right, and I'm just asking this because I believe we only do this every 5 years, so I want to make sure that we are going through this like a fine-tooth comb.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Thank you.
How dare you capitalize C and M in 1.02?
It was, that was one of those 10:05, 10:06 meetings. I mean, we deliberated at length on proper camel case and whatnot. But yes, a lot of the ones that I'm skipping over, I am assuming are minimal. If you see one that's not, please
That's right.
let me know,
That's good.
and we'll come back to it. And so that's the basis of Amendment 4 is not really articulating a full-fledged AI policy or surveillance policy, simply directing council to develop and adopt one on your own.
So I'm curious on that one. Is there, and you put this under the powers of the city section. Is there anywhere else in the charter that it requires the city or the city council to draft a policy like this? Or is this plowing new ground?
I defer to our city attorney who's more knowledgeable about the contents. I can't think of one off the top of my head.
I can think of one off the top of my head. Ethics policy.
Okay. Okay.
Good call.
There you
Good
go.
call.
All right.
So at least one.
Now, where is the ethics policy in the charter?
I don't know.
I'm just, this didn't feel like the right place
Off
to
the
me,
top of my
so.
head, I couldn't tell you where.
David, it's your favorite part of the charter.
Yeah.
Article
Yeah,
11.
I have 11 in my mind. So I was gonna pull
You
it up.
always have numbers.
Yeah, and so I believe we put this in Article 2 because it's under city surveillance and city. It's not. This isn't something specifically that council does, but it's something that the citizens are asking council to put out on staff.
So yeah, I mean, and like I said, what I love about this is that I'm coming here completely blind. I have not been involved in any of your discussions or reviewed it or anything else discussed with that. I think it's I don't want to put words in your mouth, but my impression is that the evolution of how the city has gone, or cities in general, or municipalities, have to involve something that actually has a policy or guidance when it comes to the use of artificial intelligence. And what you're trying to do is trying to say that that's something on the forefront of y'all's minds regarding to do that. So the question becomes, from our standpoint, because I mean, it's a pretty small clip, but is that something that we put in our charter, or is that something that we already have regarding our own guidance to make sure we enforce on? Which I think I get it. I mean, something that you're proposing right there as well. So
Yeah,
I get the rationale behind it.
To your question, whether or not council adopts a general
Yeah.
AI policy or a point-by-point specific this is up to y'all. It's provided, of course, this is approved by the voters.
Yeah.
So when I think about this AI at first, the first thing that comes to my mind is staff, right? City staff. And then my question would be around, like, what does that look like for city council members with AI? Like, what was your thought behind that as well? I can see for staff, but how about this body?
Yes, to that point, we're following up at the end with a recommendation on some of the more specificity in terms of what we would like to see. And when I say we, it may not necessarily be coming directly from me or any single member, but it's all of our voices together. And the recommendation contains some more specificity. This is just a direction to council to establish a policy, to bring to a lot higher level of awareness that this is something that, again, if approved, the citizens think is important in terms of surveillance and our civil liberties.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Imagination.
Okay. Was there anything else?
No.
Okay. Moving on to Amendment 5. This one's pretty straightforward. Recognizing the work that y'all do and establishing that not only are you reimbursed for your expenses, but that you receive, the mayor receives $750 per month as council pay, and that council members receive $500 per month. This was, I think one member articulated this would cover daycare if you have children that need watching, or pet sitting or whatever. And so not a high and lofty salary, just something recognition in terms of the price of gas going up and whatnot.
So, and I want to be clear, so you have that in there as proposed language, but when we have the list on page 5, that's what you have consensus on from the council as a whole?
Page
The Charter
5.
Commission? Yeah,
No,
this is,
So these are the recommendations, sir. So those are separate from amendments. So what I'm going through now are amendments that must be approved and put on the ballot. We'll get into the recommendations at the end. Does that help?
no.
So these are their,
This is the summary.
Yeah.
And then
Proposals,
the
this
other ones
is-
are the details.
The
Well,
details.
Yeah.
Look at page 4.
well, even then, no, this is.
Yeah, because we have the
These are the
summary right
items
here.
that they voted on and have to
Yeah.
go on a ballot, and this is the recommendation of things that they think we should think about but do not go into.
My apologies,
Go to
sir. I'm
the
Yeah,
going,
okay, that's, okay.
I'm going
That
through
makes more
Appendix
sense.
A or whatever this summary of proposed amendments that's on
I mean,
page 4.
Page
of the
4.
packet.
I'm curious in your
Roman numeral 4?
Yeah.
in your
I
long and
was
drawn
going
out
through
conversation
this-
regarding
I'm sorry, I
compensation.
can't hear you, sir.
I'm sorry, in your long and drawn out conversation regarding compensation, and I am curious, I don't know if this is relevant, this is probably not relevant till now, probably till later, but is that a 1099, is that W-2, do I owe self-employment tax on that?
That's beyond the concept of, and purview of this body.
Okay.
That's an exercise left to the reader.
And the way it is drafted, it is the mayor's authorized to receive. So is that does that assume that the individual holding the position can reject that payment?
Absolutely.
Okay, was that the intention?
The intention was that, yes, that you would have the ability to accept this. You could accept it and donate it. I mean, again, this body doesn't want to be specific and tell you how to disperse funds that are available to you.
Okay,
I like authorized to receive.
all right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
So I have a question about that because, maybe this is more towards the attorney. I've seen conversations about even if you're authorized to receive it and you choose not to, you still may be taxed on receiving it, whether or not you actually drew the payment. So, I mean, I think I'm curious about the details of whether this is salary W-2 or independent contractor 1099, because that changes the taxability of it. And then also, if someone were to reject it, would they still be taxed?
I think.
That sounds like a tax law question.
Yeah,
I'm not a tax attorney.
but it's my understanding, is in the previous city, they were paid $25 a meeting, and it was my understanding that when they declined the payment, they were still taxed on that money. So, but we'll confirm that.
All right.
Okay.
Any other questions on that item?
So just take the money.
The IRS wants their payroll taxes, one way or another.
Well, if it's not payroll taxes, it's self-employment
Which
taxes.
is still but to the IRS as self-employment payroll tax.
But it would have to be submitted, it would have to be reported under a 1099. So I don't know
Yeah.
if the city would still be required to report 1099 revenue that was not accepted.
So obviously, we're not
Regardless, we
inventing
are-
the wheel. We'll
Yeah.
find.
That's something we can
Yeah.
worry about in several months.
We're
I
good.
want to set a cap at 10 o'clock for our board.
All right. On to your next recommendation,
One question.
or excuse me, your next
Amendment-
proposed amendment, Jim.
Amendment 6,
He got the message.
Section 305 talks about where a council member with the support of a second council member can request that the mayor add an agenda item. This appends to that agenda item must appear on a meeting agenda within 60 days.
I'm curious why you chose 60 days, because I think you know that our usual pattern had been just when there are two council members do it, the mayor would put it on the next agenda. So I'm curious why you chose the 60-day.
That's
So
not always the case.
That often happens.
Yeah.
But then there's sometimes that the item may be, as we used to say in the IT world, bigger than a bread box. And it may require some research from staff or whatnot, maybe in the middle of budget season or maybe before Deutschenfest or I don't know when. And so we felt like, we threw a dart at the dartboard and 60 days was the term that we all agreed upon.
Right. There
As
might
the
be
cap. As the
there
cap.
might be a winter storm or something like that that makes it impractical to add a new. Okay, that makes good sense.
Or it could simply be a lengthy agenda. We've seen that. I will say it hasn't always been the next agenda. Sometimes it's been the agenda after that.
Yeah.
Right.
In order to,
30 days has been within 30 days. has
I mean,
been
I don't think we've ever
practice.
exceeded that.
Right.
I don't think this council has.
Yeah. And again, this is just intended as a guardrail. I'm sure that the council, if we looked at all of the meeting agenda item requests that have come through, that
think
they've
you
all
forgot two.
been placed on the agenda in less than 60 days. This, I think, the intent here is just to make sure that the mayor couldn't forever postpone adding something. I'm going to add it next time or whatever. I think that's the intent.
And this is in reference to one council member, correct? Oh, two.
No, it's still
I'd say
two.
consented
Yeah,
to. Consented to. Okay.
So it's interesting, other places I've seen, the rights of two council member is not necessarily to add something to the agenda, but to call a special meeting for a purpose, which effectively turns into the same thing, because, yes, if I were to fail to comply with that, I don't know how you would compel me other than to call a special meeting for the purpose.
All right, y'all. He's
Again,
giving ideas.
That's going down a rabbit hole, and now you're getting into enforcement of something that may or may not be approved for the
Well,
charter.
it's never been an issue so far.
Exactly, sir. Anything else on Amendment 6?
No.
All right, I'm skipping 7, 8, and 9, moving on to 10. And I just wanted to make sure we're clear here. The charter had some old language in it talking about 3 votes in the affirmative to move something forward. Since the charter revision where we added a 6th seat and gave the mayor the vote, it now takes 4 votes. Even if one member is absent, it takes 4. And so the requiring 3 votes language is removed, and it's just must be a majority vote.
So that's not entirely accurate, but where is that? I'm sorry.
It's in section 315D.
Okay. Because in the scenario that there are 5 members present, still reaching a quorum, a vote of 3 of those members would be an affirmative passing of the resolution. You're saying that would not be a valid scenario.
I am not saying that.
Well, you're saying it now requires 4, or it does not?
I'm not requiring 4. I'm
Not
just saying-
requiring any.
I'm just saying.
Oh,
that
just
motion
striking
passed
the-
and
striking the 3.
the calling out for 3
Gotcha,
votes.
okay. So just a majority vote is
Yeah,
sufficient.
exactly. There's just a red line there removing
Gotcha,
the
gotcha.
enumeration
No, I
of
appreciate that.
votes.
Thank you.
Anything else? Just want to be clear on that.
So if
All
there
right.
was 4 people in a quorum, then it would require 3 votes.
Yes.
So 3 votes
Given my limited
was
legal
the minimum
expertise,
anyway.
3 would be a majority.
Yeah,
2
but
would
if you
fail.
had 3 votes for it and 4 against it, I don't know if you're in a confusing scenario
Yeah.
where it
There you go. That's the scenario that
received
we're
3
eliminating.
votes.
Okay.
Mayor,
Gotcha.
can I weigh in here?
Yes,
If
Mike.
everyone's- This is exactly why I think this section needs to be changed.
Okay.
At least clarified, because, I mean, when I looked at it the first time, I mean, I know what affirmative votes means, but could it be if you only have 5 and it passes 3-2? There's 3 affirmative votes, but it seems like, to me, one, it ought to be like a super majority. And the second thing is, there's a couple of issues too. So you adopt it on first reading, and it becomes effective on first reading. And we know what that means, right? We can legally wave around that ordinance as law, but then it comes back for second reading. What if someone comes to the podium and says, hey, I would like you to change this? I think it just sets it up for perhaps some issues. And that's what I caught. I've never seen this provision before. I don't get out and survey charters all over the state or anywhere else for that matter. But I just think this subsection D should take some council review and consideration over the next few weeks.
Is there a particular direction that you recommend? Is it, because I do believe 2 readings is frequently appropriate to ensure that the public has input into the process.
I agree as well. I just think if you have 2 readings, you ought to do 2 readings. Now, the second one is, and I don't have a problem with this, you can go on the consent agenda if it's been overwhelmingly supported on first reading, or you can remove it off the consent agenda. But I think if it's going to be 2 readings, it ought to be 2 readings, that you shouldn't be able to bypass the second reading or make it less formal, if you will, by 3 affirmative votes. That's
Mayor,
my
if
opinion.
I may. And so if you read the preamble to D, effective date in the ordinance, it says, every ordinance shall be effective upon adoption or at any later time specified in the ordinance. And so the effect of this is to give council sort of an emergency bypass. As we discovered during COVID and Winter Storm Uri, sometimes we need to act more quickly. And this merely gives you a workaround to get there. It doesn't necessarily open Pandora's box. If you think that something's going to have more conversation or more impact or more public speaking on the second reading, you certainly are within your power to delay the effective date of that ordinance.
Indeed. In a more recent example, we passed an ordinance last week regarding rules and policies for the lake.
And we get to say,
We
First
would
reading.
not be able to enforce those over Memorial Day weekend had it not been effective on first reading.
yeah, we get to say that explicitly.
Does that help,
No.
Mike?
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
So,
What do you think?
I would love to. I've been doing it a while. It is uncommon. I'm going to use that word. I don't have the data in front of me. But years ago, prior to the ability of the internet, et cetera, 2 readings on ordinances were common because of the way that you notified the public through newspaper was the only way you notified. I have never worked in a city. I've worked in 7 except for this one that requires 2 readings. That was a very archaic way of doing business, to be real frank. I have not, the cities that I speak with do not do 2 readings. Just throwing it out there, because we've always done it is not necessarily the right way to do it. You could always do 1 reading and then delay an action if needed. But the reason, I'm just giving the history, the reason of 2 readings was whenever we did newspaper postings and people got word of mouth to get it. Now we email it to you every week. You get a key to the city, you know the agenda for the following week, et cetera. It's just a different way we do business. I have 0 opinion in the matter. I'm just letting you know that it's not common.
Yeah, I mean, I hear where you're coming from on that. My concern is that if there is something that's controversial, that we do let people have a chance. Because, I mean, that's the problem, right? Is that, like, we tried our best. I mean, I maybe some people out there, the 3 people online who are watching, disagree. I feel like the staff does a really good job of trying to let the public know what's coming up, but then oftentimes we get feedback after some action has been taken, and it's like, hey, wait a minute, you know, we get a discussion as well. But I like the cleanup. I think the cleanup makes sense.
I think, to your point, Councilman Mitchell, this business about electric motors on a boat is something that we've gotten on the lake, has something we've gotten an unusual amount of feedback about, and I think that most people were completely unaware of it when we acted on it the first time. So, you know, we do have, on rare occasions, the unusual amount of feedback that makes a second reading appropriate. But I do, you know, I agree with the city manager's point that it's old-fashioned and generally not something that the citizens are particularly worked up about. But every once in a while, we step on a toe we didn't realize was there, and this gives us an opportunity to respond to that public feedback.
But to be clear, this change doesn't change that policy.
Right.
I just didn't know if it was considered.
But she's letting us know.
Well, because
Yeah, I just wanted
this,
this change, but you're saying we
This-
could consider more discussion, but this change does not make that.
this is a provision that allows for an ordinance to be effective on first reading, even though there's a second reading of it.
Yeah.
So then the question, should we even bother
get
with
rid
a
of it
second
all.
reading if we're
Yeah.
gonna allow ordinances to be effective on first reading?
Yeah, and that,
Or should we allow ordinances to be effective on first
For
reading
us,
if we have a
it's-
second?
Yeah, it's the delay of development projects. There's many reasons actually that I can talk about the development community that doesn't support the two ordinances. You're talking, in some months, if you miss a meeting at Christmas, you're talking 2 months for the government to make a decision. For me, it's about effectiveness and speed. For the one-offs, I would say routine business would be the one. So maybe through this, you could make that decision.
Would there be a way, maybe if we were to rephrase it, where it could be, second reading isn't required if it is defined as being a one reading item and passes, or
But doesn't this already allow, it said it may become effective after first reading provided the motion so specifies. So if we wanted to specify that it would be first reading, we have the option to do it.
But
Not
every
prevent it.
ordinance still requires a second reading.
But that could be on a consent agenda.
It could be, or it could change at the second reading and require a third and invalidate the enforcement that we've taken in the interim.
Do you need that tool in the toolbox? Is what you need, and is the real
Well,
question.
or
And
how do we
yeah,
create
yeah.
consistency and predictability?
Well, I mean, I don't think we haven't. I mean, for
Yeah,
sure, it's like
sure.
with that as well. But the reality is do you need that? In 2026, do you need that? That's the question to be asked. So I think. I mean, I like the change. I think it's good.
All right. I think
My-
we
my-
can discuss that some more, but I don't think we need to.
Well, my attorney has some input.
well, and since Serena opened the door on this, here's another issue for two readings of an ordinance. You all currently have in the charter, an ordinance is required to convey property, which includes easements and leases. I think that's onerous. Well, I don't think it. I know that's onerous. And because I'll get Public Works in my office that says, hey, this has already been delayed and you're telling me it's going to take another month to go through two readings of an ordinance. I think that's another issue, ancillary to this one, that you all ought to take a look at.
But that's someone that we could say, this is effective on first reading?
How do you convey property
There's
on
a
first reading
specific-
if you have to have a second reading? That sounds
Right,
tricky.
right.
You
Well,
can't close until after the second reading.
I just think a conveyance should go to council in some instances, and maybe not even, maybe not easements or leases if you give the city manager authority under some policy, but certainly not every conveyance ought to go to council as an ordinance that requires two readings. That's my personal opinion.
But that's in 3.14 currently, so that would require.
That would, but I thought now's the time to kind of bring up that issue.
All right. I think we've got more to talk about, but we'll move on with your provisions.
Thank you. And I appreciate y'all's conversations back and forth. I look around at my members and I see a lot of smiling faces because we've had some of the same conversations.
You guys are charter nerds like us. We love it. Keep going. Okay.
Skipping 11, moving on to 12. 12,
Could we not skip them? I just had a real quick question on 11.
fire away, sir.
Number 4, you changed it from council to mayor. What was the thinking behind that? My only concern is, in the future, if we have. different
Oh,
mayors in
get
city
buddy,
council,
buddy. I
Yeah,
get it.
some the mayor doesn't want to let.
I get it.
So I think that might be one that I actually proposed, and the reason I proposed it is because I read it and I realized that there are times that the city manager won't be able to make it to a meeting, but won't be able to ask us permission
Yeah, I love that
a
part.
meeting before. The
But
excused by the council means by an affirmative vote of the council. So
I guess my only worry would be hypothetically, let's say y'all two were at ends with each other and you just.
like,
wanted
no,
to
you
be-
can't.
Yeah,
You
No,
can't go.
it's not excused. What happens?
I mean, because I think Serena's done a good job of letting it. Hey,
No, but
listen.
Yeah, but-
No, no,
We're
no.
talking about a future mayor and a
True.
future city manager.
I was going to finish mine.
Okay, I'm sorry. Hey,
All right,
Yeah, I think Serena's done a good job of, hey, listen, I'm out of town for this, blah, blah, let us know. And we're like, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
3 in my 8 years.
I mean, that's that's the other scenario is
8 out
that
of 9 years.
can the city manager notify us that they will be absent from a meeting? Is there a number? Why would we require
Sure.
essentially an affirmative vote of council to excuse the city
Like I
manager?
said, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
I'm just-
But that's the way it's
Have you
written
ever
now.
had, have you ever been at ends with your city, with your mayor? And-
I've never.
Well, you have a city council member, so if they had become mayor.
There certainly
I don't
have
have
been
one
other
boss.
city
I have 4.
managers and other,
So it doesn't
other
matter.
mayors where they
That
have been
one's-
at loggerheads and that sort of thing. While petty would not be beyond the realm of possibility. So I understand Caesar's concern that if only the mayor can excuse the city manager, but, you know, she really has a good reason to go out of town, the city manager maybe should be able to go to the council and say, look, the mayor told me no,
Well,
but.
Should that be by the mayor or council then?
So Serena just made a great comment. I don't work for the mayor, I work for the council.
It is the council.
Yeah.
So I guess if it were that necessary, she could just ask us all.
Well, aren't there any sort of provisions for general, like, employment? She's sick, she has to get a vote from the council to not go through, I mean, like.
2 weeks in advance,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
I did
so,
have COVID, yeah. there was-
so, I mean,
Should've
there has,
come.
you know.
I thought
this
that
says
was
all city council meetings, so I think it's more, I don't know, I kind of see it as like, well, you're required to be there, but there should be simple employee things that don't have to go to the council. But other things may,
Right.
may need to go to council.
Right, which is why I thought that was a good way to provide the
Yeah,
flexibility, but
After-
you
after
do make a good
after
point.
Serena corrected it that she doesn't work for you, she works for all of us, I'm okay with this.
He
It
says
makes it
no, I'm
quick,
still
it makes it
not coming.
efficient. and
I'm sorry, what?
like you said, she does that.
If the mayor said no, I think a city manager, we all know, regardless of me or someone else in this chair, I do not work for one individual. That's very clear. And so if he said you have to be here, I would say, that's neat, get 3 votes. And so, I would still be absent, so I think we could argue all these points and be here for 20 hours. I don't think this one's the big one
Thanks for the clarification.
I mean, is this needed at all then?
at all, no.
I mean, I feel like it's cleanup of the charter, because right now,
Well, that's what
Or-
I wonder.
or
If
should-
number 4 just gets stricken completely, maybe. Do we want to have this hammer in there for some reason?
No, because everybody won't be like Serena and everybody
Yeah.
won't be like.
I think we need an expectation that they'll be attending all city council meetings, but I think
That
there's,
could be also in the contract and the agreement with the employee, not a charter. The charter, I fear, I look at this, and I'll be real frank if I may, is many of these are really policy. When I think about a charter, you're looking like if you're running a church or a nonprofit or a business, and it's the bylaws. How we make the sausage is through ordinances and resolutions. I have been in a city that did 20-odd some charter amendments. It is a nightmare to explain this to the public. And if you have one item in here that people get riled up about as voters, they will then vote no on everything else. They see pay to a council member. That's it. They get nothing, right? I do have concerns, because I've been through one of these big charter reviews, is should some of this, and I can share with you my opinions on what should be policy. So you have bylaws, which are the charter, and then you don't bind future councils, we do it every meeting, I'm aware. We bind councils to future ideas of this what-if story. Maybe allow those elected officials to manage how they make the sausage. And the bylaws is this overarching how we govern. To me, this is a governance document, not a what are we going to do if the city manager's sick document. That is not at all what the direction of a charter should be.
But I think that's, well, there's not a but, and I think that's a different discussion. Your discussion right here is that you went ahead and said that quantitatively, the amount of things that
It's
are being
hard.
proposed are, okay, you have concerns with that. That's a different discussion than what we were talking about regarding the effective action regarding that specific policy. Now, I think that's always been the rub in general, and it's not y'all. I mean, when we advise, when the clients I advise on policies and everything else, I'm like, okay, do you really want that as a policy, or is that your bylaws, or vice versa? That's a struggle everyone has with that. So maybe what we should do, because she's throwing me dagger eyes like we need to move. I know 7:30. I know that's the day.
I'm good.
No, I'm not talking. I'm talking to my boss over there. let's look through that and let's have that in the back of our minds with that. Is about like, okay, do we really need that in the charter, or is there a policy effectiveness that we can actually get through on that?
That's a good idea.
If I may,
Except
there's
for
also
the-
the part of the charter that does not allow you, I've asked this question to hundreds of cities, actually.
You're about to.
There is
You're about
part
to
of the
bring it up.
charter that no other city I can find has, which is that no matter, as much as I'm looking at this crowd, and I love some of you people in
Why are
this
you
crowd.
bringing
I
this
do.
up? Why are you bringing
I
this up
like
right now?
them. I like them a lot, anyways. But the way the charter is written is that you must adopt what they decide. If we want to talk about future committees, I don't know if y'all are gonna, one day that future, they're gonna put it there, they're gonna put jacuzzis in every house or whatever it is. So every other charter in the state of Texas that I've ever seen allows for the council to take the recommendations and then create the ballot language. Our charter demands that whatever this body says, we do. So maybe they didn't have all of the information possible while they deliberated. I have a great deal of faith in your chairman, of course, with many years, but I also have concern of maybe a future one or even some of these. Council can add to the amendments, may not take away.
So I want to be clear to y'all. This is not this is not the
on
first
y'all.
time she has
No,
brought
yours.
this up. Yes,
Oh,
the entire time.
But you
that
haven't
she's
taken
had it.
action.
Mayor and I tried 5 years
Yeah.
ago, but got shut down.
Yeah.
By, by the
So-
other 5 who told us to go do it.
Yeah.
And then we came back and they said, no, we don't want it.
I don't remember. That was COVID time.
I don't remember.
But yeah, it has nothing to do with y'all. This is like a policy
You
decision.
do this when
regarding
times
this
are
law.
good, not when they're bad.
Exactly.
You do this whenever we're not at odds. We're just saying that maybe some could be policy, some not. Would you mind considering that? And then come back to us at a meeting to say, you know what, actually, that would be a great resolution or ordinance allowing flexibility in the future of city council members to make changes. The way it's written now, we could walk away today and you say, absolutely not, we're not changing anything, and you must do these 20, or you must do these on the ballot. We could do that. I hope that we're all civil enough to say maybe there's some room for a haircut.
My only concern would be that if we, and again, I advocated for what you're saying. My only concern would be that we're taking the voice out of the people. So if the council is doing things that the people don't like, this is the people's chance to change the charter and force council to do certain things.
Well, I would, if we were to consider something like that to provide flexibility for council, I would then ask for a supermajority vote to override a recommendation from the charter review, like 75% or something, so that it's not just a clear majority, it's a supermajority. Because I agree with Caesar that we gave the task to the people, and this is what they deliberated on, so I think we need
And
to
they're
take
appointed by all of us.
Yeah.
They are, and we are
5 or
elected
6.
by them.
So you're represented. I mean, you're
Yeah.
representing people by the nature of your work.
All right, so
Item
I think
12.
we've diverged a little bit. Let's get back on track.
It's
Item
okay, I'm
number
gonna,
12.
I'm gonna take a move it and address my group here, because we are here to recommend these amendments. This item, if you have it in front of you, it's a very short item. It says, attend all city council meetings, and then the less excused part. I think the intent of this is to make sure that the city manager attends the meetings. If the city manager is not at the meeting, typically the deputy city manager is appointed to take over in the role of city manager, so someone is attending in the role of city manager. And that I believe, just guessing, that if we had a city manager that habitually missed council meetings, council would have an executive session item to talk about the city manager. With that said, I wonder if I can get a motion to amend our proposed amendment so that instead of saying attend all city council meetings unless blah, 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 we strike that whole part unless, and we just say attend all city council meetings.
Greg, I would probably discourage any adjustments to what we've already done
Why is that?
because there was so much deep thought in every single thing that's on here.
I agree.
So
We've
I
already
would
been
probably
down
just
that
keep
path.
it, and the concept is just to, you don't want to, it seems like a knee-jerk response. And I think at this point, through the months that we've met, hours that we've met each month, keep it as it is. and either they accept it or they don't.
So I'm still looking to see if
But
anyone's, I understand that, and I may
So-
disagree with it, but I understand your point, and Jolly, I think, agrees with you in some way. I'm just looking to see if anyone wants to make that motion.
Could you repeat the change?
So the idea would be that the amendment that we are recommending is to strike the words "unless excused by the council."
Yeah.
So that the intention is still that the city manager is required to attend all meetings, council meetings. We're just taking away the process for excusing or whatever.
Because you, and
I
that's.
got a hand over here first. Ursula.
If you take away the unless excused by the mayor, it makes it hard attend all city council meetings, period. But
Right.
unless she delegates the deputy, I mean,
Right.
where's the flexibility for her?
And so there was a time when we had a city attorney that was a group, right? It was a law firm. And so anyone that was designated from there would be this acting city attorney. And so I believe that there would always be a city manager present, but whether that was a specific person or someone filling that office, right? And to your point about the unless excused, every one of these provisions that are requirements of the city manager, none of them have an unless excused on there. Which, if this, again, if the city manager were failing to perform in their duties, council would call them to task.
I just think maybe, and this is just me thinking, is the or designee inherently included in this if we take that out? Attend all city council meetings unless a designee is that going to cover that for the city manager?
Okay.
Mike, is that redundant to put that in there? If we just had it say attend all city council meetings, is that,
You could put that in there. I'll go back to what Serena said. I think this is more appropriate for a contract. That's my first thought. Second thought is, I appreciate what you're doing, and I think council appreciates that too. I get the sense, could be wrong, I read rooms wrong sometimes, that they're gonna send you all back for a meeting to consider some of these issues, and you may wanna consider it then after you get a couple weeks thinking about it. So my point is, instead of going around the room and trying to figure out what the amendment looks like.
On the fly.
Yeah. That's my,
well,
Yeah, so
on the,
one of
on the
the-
fly, to that point, I mean,
No.
everything.
yeah.
Well, he's
So our next agenda item is action regarding council direction to the Charter Review Commission. So
I
we may say,
understand
hey, go back and think about these things, take another meeting. I don't think you need to make that decision tonight.
I'm trying to.
And there may be
I agree with
much more wordsmithing that could
I think so.
If there
make
was
it
something,
better as opposed to make it
Not
quick.
now.
if there was something small that we could address here and forestall having
Doesn't
another
sound like
meeting, I would be
Yeah.
tempting to go that route. to save us.
No, dog.
I applaud your optimism. What's number 12?
I'm not hearing a motion from this group, so we will move on.
It died, Miss
And
Blue.
he's like, I don't want to come back for another.
That's called deafening silence.
Next.
You know,
So
we-
12, right?
Amendment
I
12.
have this thought that I think it actually already is in our employment agreement.
Probably.
In which case, this would be completely duplicative, especially if it's already there.
Well,
So, I mean, someone could.
I guess it would
check that,
require that you have it in your employment agreement because you could choose to not have it. I don't know, but anyway. that's
why
enough
would
on
we
this.
not say that the city
I don't
manager
know.
has to show up to do
Yeah.
work?
Show up to work, yeah.
Right.
I was saying,
It seems redundant whether it's
yeah,
there or
leave it
not.
in, and-
I'm sorry, let's, Jolly, I saw you raising your hand.
I just want to make a point, and I made this point in one of our sessions that we had. We're pointing a situation to one individual, and I believe the council understood when I was talking about it then. When I see something like this is not just towards one individual, it should be towards the whole council.
Exactly.
And it should be within the contract, not necessarily in a charter. It should be a bylaw for each one of you individuals. I hope I didn't say that rudely. But for everybody that's on the council, not just directed towards one individual. Even though we know she's the city manager and she holds a big place in our city, but I think it should be directed at the group as a whole. That's all I wanted to say.
And I believe there is a.
Okay, council members lose their seat if they miss 3 consecutive meetings.
Out of there.
Yeah, 3 in a row.
Unexcused.
No, there's no,
No,
there's no unless excused.
no, it's
There's no unless
No.
excused.
Yeah.
It is a shall,
It
as
is.
I recall.
Yeah.
Item 12.
We're not gonna keep
Double
it
check,
out.
Jim, you raised your hand before I called on Urcho, you good? Okay, very good. Item 12. Item 12 addresses the residency of the city manager. We discussed that our current municipal
Judge.
Judge.
Sorry, Judge, thank you. We did discuss the city manager, and the city manager is still required to live within the city limits.
How come not the judge?
But the judge, we discussed that, and we recognize that our current municipal judge is also the municipal judge in Bee Caves, and it would be difficult for that person to maintain dual residencies. And so,
But they don't have that provision.
Yeah, but they don't have the provision.
so we felt like we should take that out of our
Are we,
charter.
how big is BK?
Again, if you hire that person and require that they live here, the charter wouldn't prevent you from doing that in a contract.
I mean, I guess, yeah,
Yeah.
Fair point.
I don't know. This,
the other side of that, right, is that you would potentially have a expanded pool of qualified people, versus finding someone who's willing to be a municipal judge inside the city limits of Pflugerville.
I think they've talked about this before.
Yeah,
right?
we have
A number of candidates
exactly.
who don't reside in the city of Pflugerville. And,
Well, yeah, we've talked about this for years.
Okay.
What are the pros and cons?
municipal judge is a part-time job, not like the city manager, which is a full-time job. So
You can't.
it
say
seems reasonable
that
to
on the
require
dice.
us to be
You
different.
cannot say that on the dice.
I mean, a judge makes a decision for your neighbor. Not your favorite.
Are we good with
Okay,
this
cool.
item?
Sounds like we are.
Sir?
I have thoughts about it, but someone's trying to influence what's going on here, given her viewpoints and perspective.
What are your thoughts?
Let's go.
All right, item 13.
Skipping 13 and 14,
Oh,
moving to
Trista's happy with
15.
13?
It's just the,
Moving to 15 and 16 unless
Okay.
there's objection. And as well, if anyone from the CRC wishes me to expand on any of the items that I'm skipping over, please throw something at me. Gently. Jolly.
Yes, sir.
Item 15 and 16 talks about petitions. I think section 703.
Lowering the threshold?
A
Yeah.
is dropping it from 15 to 10%. We discussed 5%, and we settled on 10, understanding the
Y'all.
the growing number of qualified voters registered voters within the city limits. And so we settled on 10.
I have concerns.
Could I ask you to maybe give us a little bit of
It's
what you all,
qualified
a
registered
little preview
voters,
of what you all discussed or
but
how you
it's
landed
not
on that number?
of people who
Yeah,
actually
I
Watched
know.
the video
I know the
for
law.
My memory's not that
Okay.
good, and I would not want to misspeak. Does anybody want to talk directly to the reasons why we settled on 10?
I think Terry.
Terry.
He's not.
Yeah.
And I'll
Yeah,
give you,
he's-
I'll give you a little bit of the like right now. There's currently one situation as relates to ACC, right? And so I forget the number that is the exact number it needed. Something like that will reduce the number of signed voters to get it back on the ballot.
Well, remember,
No,
ACC is not
ACC
ACC is for the ISD, not us.
It's Pflugerville ISD, but something. I think the number is the same. The percentage
The ACC is 5%.
Yeah.
is 5%.
Yeah.
So that
5% is a,
5%. So now we actually are coming closer to.
Yeah, the
something
interesting
else.
thing about that is that they
15
don't
versus
actually need the
5.
petition.
Huh.
They don't have to petition. That board can also do the same thing that they do via petition.
To get it back on the ballot, though.
Yeah.
It's outside the scope of this.
It is.
yeah.
Yeah, and so it's
Well, he brought it up.
But that's, yeah, so that's the 5%. This
You see
this
the
has been
gap.
15%.
But you see the gap. There's
Uh-huh.
15 versus 5 in that kind of situation.
So what's
Isn't that
this
true
brings it
also
low.
of the city, that if we wanted to put something on the ballot, we could choose to put this on the ballot, but this is the voice of the people,
Voice of the
of
people.
whether they want to put something on the ballot. ballot. And I've looked into this like over 15 years ago. This was one of my suggestions because it's such a high barrier that it makes it virtually impossible as if it was prohibited. And 5% is a general rule that I've seen in a lot of petition requirements. So 10% is even higher.
You said a virtual barrier, so has this never been successful? Because, and I would say that, so in our state, in Texas, we do not have anything that we can do by referendum that can be added regarding our state constitution or anything else possible regarding that, period. And so I would love to get the history behind what referendums have not been successful. I don't know. I guess what we could get is a successful one to see what that actually looks like. And when that was, and what the percent, what the population of the city was.
But maybe they never attempted it because the bar was so high. Because right now, at 42,000 registered voters, which is a similar one, 15% would be 6,300, which can be more people that vote in an election.
That was the point I was going to make. I believe that's a higher number than actually voted in the last cycle.
Craig over here. Craig has a comment.
See, I wanted to know that number. That makes a big difference.
Well, I'm sorry, what was that number?
60. He said 6,300.
6,300. I mean, that's more than was in the runoff, but not the general.
That's what I, okay.
But the runoff is rather unique.
And the runoff's alwa's going to be
Yeah, that was
substantially
record
lower.
numbers for a runoff. It was also record
How
numbers
many
for
did you say, Melody?
he said 6.
42,000. I'm just going off my memory of.
Yeah, they're about
I
45.
mean, you get 4,000.
Yeah, so that makes it higher.
4,200 people that want to recall you. That's pretty good.
That's
quite a bit of people who
it's a lot.
Yeah.
So, hey,
Yeah, you
I mean,
you don't
the-
call that election, you step down.
The task of getting 10%, but this is a petition to add something to, this is not the recall.
Yeah.
That's still 15%, right? This is adding to initiative that people want on the ballot.
I think we should.
No, we should make the recall like 2%.
So it's
Oh, never mind, this
It
one
is a
says
referendum.
10%.
It is a referendum. So be mindful, it is something that's a referendum initiative and non-binding referendum. So the main concept is we needed to lower the number, and it was mixed at first, but the ayes said yes.
Yeah, I just.
So
I'm gonna give
it
Craig.
didn't. So that's all.
I'm gonna give Craig.
what's your heartburn on it, Rudy?
No, I've already said it. I mean, literally, when you're asking for something specifically to be denoted and changed, like I said, in Texas, we don't even have that.
Oh.
We don't have that period. If you're asking for something specifically to be changed in your city, you're asking for that barrier. I don't think that having 15% is an infinitesimal barrier to stop people from actually getting something that significantly changed on that. Now, we're not talking about recalls, we're talking about actually changing something physically that's actually being done with the city. Now, I also want to get more information on it. So I want to hear, okay, what has been successful, what has been added there, and what for there. I'm hopeful you have some information.
Yeah, the other part of it, it's not just the numbers, but as soon as you get your first signature, a clock starts, and you have a certain number
The shot
amount
clock.
of time.
How long?
And I think it's
6 months.
you think it's like
180 days.
yeah, I was gonna say 2 months,
I don't-
6
something
months.
like that. But and you can
I'm
get
not going to hold you
certain
to it.
extensions, but then if you get it's
Yeah,
it's a
Mike
matter of the
probably
time constraints within it from the moment you get your first signature. That also made a bigger difference of needing to bring that threshold down. Because 15% in 10 years versus trying to get in half a year, whenever it takes a while to get your initiative going to get those signatures. That was the main, it's that percentage versus the time frame.
Mike, so yeah, and Mike, you I know you made a note about trying to see what successful referendums we have. Can you also get the shot clock and see when the shot clock starts?
But for reference, if we look in the recall petition up here, 10% is required for a petition for recall, but 15% is required for an initiative or referendum. So there's
this would match.
disparity in.
We can lower the recall to 3% if you want. It's okay.
Well, to some degree, that makes sense. A recall petition is replacing a single member, whereas this petition is changing
You are
something
literally
across the
changing.
city.
Yeah, you are literally changing the
Bringing
city.
it to the vote of the
Bringing it
people.
to the vote.
Yeah, but you are changing something substantial.
So I'm showing that half of home rule cities have a threshold 20% or higher. Buda at 20%. Austin's only 5%. But Austin's got a whole lot of people in it, right?
For what it's worth,
Yeah,
So
they're at
10
a million,
is
but they
65.
do have the 5% threshold. Buda at 20%. I mean,
And
Snyder
the
at
percent has to go
25.
along with what the population
Yeah.
count is.
Yeah.
So the small.
That makes sense.
No, Craig, you make
Well-
make.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
exactly.
sorry for
Just
mathing, I'm
some
sorry.
basis. I wasn't
Yeah.
sure if that was
Well,
considered.
think about what kind of effort getting 6,300 plus signatures, because you have to have the ones that might be thrown out, in 6 months. That's a Herculean effort, I think.
But so
without
maybe,
money.
So maybe the question becomes, are we able to change the shot clock?
I don't think so.
That's the question.
We haven't addressed that. That'd be for 5 years from now.
All right, with that, I think we've concluded. What's your next?
We also struck that the petitions must be signed by ink or indelible pencil.
Oh, I got rid of that.
It's a pencil that can't be erased.
We struck that part, so I don't know if we want to.
So,
leave that
yeah,
in there.
I don't know. I like my permanent pencils.
I don't know, is it one of those NASA pencils?
So is state law more restrictive?
Yeah.
No.
No, it's,
No.
no,
No.
it doesn't.
Okay.
We ever talk about pencils?
It has to be a permanent mark. Okay, item
As
16.
council member
They
Brown
added it for
pointed
some
out,
reason.
if signatures are struck from a petition, there is an opportunity to make redress to get more. We extended that time from 2 to 4 weeks.
I like that.
In
That's
provision
fine.
7.04.
And part of that is if there's one signature struck on one page, the entire page has to be redone. So none of those count.
I didn't know that before.
Yeah.
So that
Okay,
one
oh,
page-
that's why I've seen petitions with partial.
One bad signature throws out the whole page?
Is that something specific to us?
That is
I don't.
that's what
I feel like David would know.
I don't. No, I was about to say. I don't.
I recently had an
Just 'cause I
opportunity to
wanted to know.
litigate that question.
But it didn't cut me.
Well, you litigated in front of the wrong people.
I feel like he didn't get all the way to that point, though.
Nobody on the other side, pretty high-priced legal talent, raised that.
No one
issue,
raised that.
or
That's interesting.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I don't think that's the case.
And that was item 16. Item
Moving
17.
on to item 7, amendment 17, some issues around the budget, and looking for clarification. My first point will be to Trista and Mike. If you will look at 903B.11, where we amended the language there, that first A should be capitalized. Trying to save the next charter commission from having to do that. I apologize, I missed 2 meetings of this board, and I missed this particular meeting where a lot of this was discussed. I guess in 903A, the subject was content. We changed the name of that to development, and section B is content. And then we added some verbiage there in terms of including shall provide a complete financial plan of all city funds and activities, shall be arranged to show comparative figures for current fiscal year's adopted budget, year-to-date actual income and expenditures, and estimated year-end results. We recognize that a lot of this is already done by staff, I guess this is just sort of codifying it to make sure that it moves forward in that way.
Yeah, my only question to you was, okay, isn't this already being done? Does it have to be enunciated here, or is that something that we can actually put in policy?
And it strikes me, yeah, that's what I was going to say. It strikes me as policy because different councils may have different expectations.
They might want something different. They might want 10 years. They might want 3.
And then when I see shall provide a complete financial plan of all city funds and activities, I'm like, wait a minute.
That's a budget, isn't it?
Yeah. I know. I'm like, isn't that what? But that's why. Okay. Interesting.
Again, I apologize, I missed that meeting. I can't give you any specific information. Does anybody up here want to talk about this particular amendment?
I would ask, this would be one that is common in cities to be policy, resolution, so that a council can be flexible, to detail, this is the sausage making. So to a 5-year financial, of course, we do these things. I wonder what a voter would think when they hit the ballot box, because they go, oh, I can't believe you don't do those things. Now we must make them do those things. That's what happens in a ballot box. So I understand the phrase to codify, but that doesn't make sense to me as voters going to the ballot box and going, you're kidding me. They don't tell us about revenues. They don't tell us about impact fees. My government is terrible. And then to be real frank, what if you have a bond election on the same ballot? And the average voter, as much as I see the people in this room are very educated voters, I just question going to the ballot box and going, that is exactly what they will think. It's kind of like when you get a Christmas card and someone's missing out of the picture. And you go, I wonder what happened to them. To me, I picture
What kind of
this
Christmas
one-
cards are you getting?
I can tell you that story. 2014. No, but I fear that this signals a message that is not true because you're exactly right. We already do it. I would strongly suggest that this be an ordinance resolution, not at the ballot box.
I think much of this is required by our audit as well.
I
Right?
think-
So there,
I mean,
that's
yeah,
an additional
yeah. This
level
is-
of.
This is, I would.
I
now-
don't think the audit oversees how we prepare a budget.
But you do as council, and you can provide if you want us to put it on pink paper, you can do that. If you want it to be however you want it. The average citizen making a ballot decision is very different in this, is my opinion.
Carol?
I just want the council to realize that a lot of our meetings revolved around what actually belongs in a charter and what should be a policy. There was a lot of discussion here exactly on that topic. There were voices, including my own, that said, this is policy. Whatever a charter is, to me, it's the Constitution. It's that guiding document. It is not how to do your job. And I did like your analogy of how to make a sausage. But, so this did pass out of the council, but I do want you to know there were people who were very aware that the problem between charter and policy really guided a lot of our discussions.
So I'm curious about that, and Carol, I'm not sure if this is a question to you or well, probably to the whole body. Did you find that you frequently came to a consensus and a compromise, or did you find that there were frequently split votes on the Charter Review Commission?
Well, I can speak on that. I think so we the one thing that we try to do here is, regardless of how we felt at the time of the vote, we support the vote. All right. And so at the end of the day, there's opposition to multiple sides, and I'm trying not to speak on my part on even this specific issue. And so at the end of the day, the discussion boiled down to, is this too much for the staff to do? Meaning, is there anything extra that the staff is doing? The additional conversation also centered around, what is the standard? Is there a standard that we must follow? And we, from a state level, and I believe we recalled that as well. And so as it relates to these discussions, we wanted to not be on an island of how the city of Pflugerville does business, but yet to follow a standard. And I think we had discussions about even whether this is a unique request from individuals or whether it's something that's useful to the majority. And so that's where the discussion came. How we end up landing on this one to be an amendment did come down to the vote. And as it relates to some of the conversation, also, Mayor Weiss, is, were some of these things shot down in previous meetings, then resurrected again? Yes. We did have, in one certain meeting, we did have citizen testimony in one of our meetings.
Okay.
And that helped this discussion move forward for clarity perspective. So hopefully that gives a little granular detail of all that was kind of discussed, but we still had a vote, and the vote led it.
Which citizen testimony you're referring to?
The council member, Melody Wright.
So she was present
She
during
was
the
present at
discussions on the
that one.
budget
She was
items.
the only citizen that made public testimony during her time. Now, admittedly, I stand corrected. There was a session where we also had a member of staff to come in that same meeting as well, because we wanted to make sure that both sides of the discussion at the expert level were in the room to make a discussion. Because we just want to make sure that we try to present as many truths to guide our footsteps as best. So, without
Gregory.
without emotion, that's the discussion.
All right.
17?
So 17.
Moving on to 18.
Thank you.
It was it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
9.
That was 17, yeah.
08, appending this section, reads about capital project public reporting system. It says that the city shall maintain a publicly accessible online reporting system for major capital projects. Upon the completion of the capital project, the city shall maintain a final closeout report. The city shall retain such reports for not less than 5 years after project completion. Again, I was missing from the conversation on this item. If anyone here would like to talk about that?
The tone is the same.
Craig?
I believe we had, as far as staff, I believe it was someone on budget that was in budget here with us. And I believe some of it was also to basically codifying the standard that was a state standard, which was, I forget the acronym that was thrown around, for the financial acronym that's the standard. In case that standard gets changed, that was the minimum. That was the basis of some of these budget type decisions also.
I think this is another one where we have a whole website that all it has on it is information about our capital projects and the current status and stuff like that. So it,
I mean,
adding
you did say
another
codify. We're
sure.
Sounds like we're doing it already, but yeah, go ahead.
That's what I was about to say, because I mean, I know we got our I said the question is that, so we have our CIP website, which we try to go ahead and do. I know, I'm looking at your eyes, Serena. Again, I think this might be something that we're looking more at policy than codification on. So,
If I may, Chairman, it's back, you said you weren't at the meeting. I keep hearing the phrase that we're codifying what we're doing. If y'all could imagine, maybe I should have come. If you can imagine the amount of work we do in a given day. 512 employees, 15 departments, however many thousands of people that live here. It's beyond borders of city limits, it's business owners, etc. Can you imagine if I asked you to codify everything that we do? Provide a vacancy report for employees, codify this. I really could come up with 500 things in the next week to tell you that you could codify. The purpose of a charter is not to codify what we're doing. It is to provide governance direction. I really fear this has become a conversation of what do you already do, so let's make them keep doing it. That's why you have a council. I do have great concern also if I hear that we won't change what we've done because we've always made a decision. I hope that your committee would be open to the conversation of professionals that have done this for a very long time, that understand charters very well. We've been a budget award winning for over 30 years. This is nothing new to us. This is standard that we exceed every year and can prove it with the plaques on the wall. So to say to codify what we're doing gives me pause to the voter. I'm going to go back to the voter is in the ballot box and reads, you have to do a CIP. My first thought is they don't tell us what the CIP is.
And the CIP is in every budget.
Mm-hmm. Online, every budget.
And also now online.
Goes to P&Z. Yes.
I understand.
So let me ask this question.
The CIP is required by charter. So some of these things are required by charter and we're put into the charter and have some components that are not done and some components that are done. So if if it's in the charter, you want to align the charter with what you want. And so that's, if it's in the charter and you're not doing it, then, you know, that's our constitution, so we should
We need to
amend
figure
it.
out why, and we
Yeah,
need to
we
hold
do.
ourselves accountable, yeah.
Yeah, so,
I'm sorry, were there things you said that are in the charter that we're not doing?
She's under attack.
yes.
And have those been recommended to be changed?
Yes, that was one of the things, in the charter. It said, actual income and expenditures, we don't report those, we report projected expenditures.
Well, it says actual, it said actual and estimated.
Yeah, we're not doing actuals right now. The last budget did not have
So we do
actuals to
estimated,
date.
but not actual.
Exactly,
Okay.
so those are just
Yeah,
some
yes,
you know, small things, but
I hold you there.
Yeah.
No,
Yes, we do.
we absolutely do
Yes, we
actuals
do.
and estimates. We do actuals.
For the current year.
We do
Sorry.
actuals through Q3 and estimates for the rest. That's why it's a projected. It is a combination of actuals and estimates.
No, in the budget, it's just the projected.
It says projected because it's a combination of actuals and estimates. That's what a projected is a combination of actuals and estimates. So we do that. We very clearly do that. I want to be clear. If there's something in the charter that we're not doing, we need to know about it.
Okay, so you're saying actual and estimated is one term in consideration, not actual.
Actuals and estimates, that's how you create a projection.
Well, that was part of the conversation.
I'm reading our budget right now.
Yeah.
FY '24 actuals for the FY, yes, we do actuals.
No, it was for the current year, the current year.
The current year is not over yet, so
Yeah.
obviously we won't have
Yeah, exactly.
a full
Yes,
year of
we-
actuals.
we do this
That's why it's
appropriately.
actuals and estimates.
No, yeah.
So-
Pardon me, I'm sorry.
There was, anyway,
it's
there was.
just the way it was read.
I just
Yeah.
It's fine.
want to make sure we're clear on
I
that.
have a quick comment or.
Yes, sir, Jim.
So we're looking at all this and there's some, like, I'm getting the vibe that there's several folks up there that really are against any of the changes in the annual budget.
That's not true.
Okay, so some of them are okay. We're fighting against just a few of them then?
I think the real conversation.
It's unclear, because basically, I just keep hearing the same argument that it's policy, not right, which is like Carol very faithfully made this argument. I would say 80% of what we considered isn't here because of that argument. Like, so I'm just trying to figure out. We get that argument, and then there's but I'm having a hard time drawing a line somewhere on some of these changes versus what's already in the charter and like what we're proposing added. Like, where do you draw the line? Because I can make the argument that all of this section is policy, right? And yet, it's in the charter.
So I think to your point, so to your point, Jim, I think I want to. Well, Jim, no, you posed the question, so I want to be able to make sure you get feedback on that. The question, it's consistently. You've heard me say that already in this meeting. That is a consistently push and pull regarding what should be in somebody's bylaws, what should be in the operating policy procedures of any given business, analogous to what we do at the city. So the question becomes here is that you bring up the point, the astute point, that hey, wait a minute. You got a lot of stuff in here that you're saying should be policy. It shouldn't be in your actual, your constitution, bylaws, whatever we call it. And yet I'm reading things that are analogous to it in here. Well, that's been something that we've had a conversation about. I mean, this is my third one. We've had this conversation about so that's 15 years. Wow, good Lord.
It's 10 years.
10 years. Yeah.
10 years.
0510.
Oh, 0510.
0510.
So my question is this, is that we've had, or my statement to you is that quite literally, we have gone through this before, and I feel like every single time we get a chance, we keep pulling more and more out of it. That's like, okay, that should really be policy. This should not be in here for that. So you're just making it more apparent to me that, like I said, I wanted to stay completely out of it because I felt like when I was in your seat, like I did not like council members coming in, telling us what to do, et cetera, because this is our whole point. This is citizen-led. Let's see what happens with this. But you're right. some of the stuff shouldn't be in here. I don't know why. What Melody has brought up, she says she's right. Like, it's in here. Why is this in here? But I know that prior councils, because of just the way the city was through the years, they just kind of thought this is the way, this is the way we do business. And so how do you deal with the evolution of a city to get to the point where you're able to go ahead and extrapolate these things? I mean, we used to have conversations about what trucks we used to buy. Like, we were
Whether or
so.
not we could afford a lawnmower.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, it was.
First of all, conversation.
I mean, the story was we'd vote on pavement repair and then we'd adjourn the meeting and go fill the potholes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
That was
yes.
way back in the council.
Yes, I mean, I appreciate your comment because it just reminded me. It's like, yeah, you're right, and shouldn't have been here.
So I will say, I mean, there are definitely some things that are policy. When we get into, I'm going to say,
Can I just say one
loose,
more?
just real quick, loose language. The budget shall be presented in a format that allows a meaningful comparison of trends in revenues, expenditures, staffing levels, and long-term obligations. How do we define a meaningful comparison of trends? What is meaningful, right? I mean, the budget provides us with a financial picture of the health of the city and the future prospects, but that allows a meaningful comparison, that is very clearly subjective. And I think that worries me a little bit. I also worry, I mean, we've got number 6 here. We struck all anticipated revenues from itemized sources and other than tax levy to itemized revenue from all significant sources and then an enumerated list of significant sources. Why not all anticipated revenue? Why is it itemized revenue only from significant sources now?
And what are they?
And
So you're against all the changes, Doug?
I'm not all the changes.
I'm just, because that was my feedback.
I mean,
but I'm waiting to hear what
the title from A makes sense.
Well, I guess the question I
you
have
shall
is,
provide a complete financial plan of all city funds. I don't know. I might be against all of them because I feel like that's kind of redundant.
So are you against, let me just read a proposed change. Oh, wait,
Okay.
it's not a proposed change. It says the budget shall begin with clear general summary of its contents. Right? Like, that's what I'm saying is like, are you any less against it than you are the entire section?
The budget shall begin with a clear.
And I think that's
But I think-
actually
That's
what
already
we win
in there.
our award for every
Yeah,
year.
that's part
That's
of
how it
the.
started.
So this is the
Because
challenge,
you
right?
guys, you guys didn't tell us
We set a
7 months
standard,
ago
right? Yeah.
that you wanted us to strip out a bunch of stuff
No.
that was policy, right?
I don't know that you
I
need
think
to.
you're about to send us back to with the grounds of that to go re-look at everything.
No,
Adding.
I don't. I did,
This is
Jim. I
adding
think the question I have is, I guess this will be for our attorney Mike. Whenever a situation like this comes up, you have amendments from the Charter Commission, and there's appears to be blatant opposition from the council. How does that work? Do we just simply go back to the commission?
We are required to put your recommendations on the ballot, or your amendments on your proposed
on the
amendments
ballot, so don't go back to XYZ for rediscussion.
Yeah, I mean, we can say, hey, we would really prefer you not make us do this.
But if you make the decision,
But
you
that's
make
up
the
to you.
decision. Yeah.
So we
appoint you to do that, and we're bound by your decision.
So at best, we as a commission can say, hey, let's revisit this.
You're welcome to, right?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, and I think that Jim, the tenor of your voice tells me the frustration. It's
I
that.
just don't want to cry.
No,
But what I'm saying to you, what I'm saying to you is that we're not making an environment. I know. We're
These are
not.
our recommendations, take it or leave it.
I know. I'm laughing because he's like, I don't want to come back. I feel him. I think that's the ultimate trump card from y'all, right? Is that, hey, listen, we looked at this. This is what you agree with. We still want to go move forward with this, and I think that's fine because the whole point of this is to give some feedback at the end of this. And you're right, we did not give any guidance specifically with that stuff. And like I said, I feel like every time we go through this, we're always pulling out stuff where we're like, why is this here? Like, we need to go ahead and get that organized from that. But I also understand Serena's point that if we give a whole list to people to vote on, and it's not like this November is not going to be busy already.
If you
How does
trigger
it
them
look
one
like?
place, they're going to shoot. That's the point
Yeah.
you're making,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
So if
and-
you trigger them one place, they're just going to say
Yeah.
no everywhere.
I will say what I'm looking for is substantive changes that improve, the citizens' interaction with the city, right? And I don't know, in that budget one, I'm just not seeing a whole lot of substance. Now, obviously, there's some things in there that, were established long ago that maybe are too specific, but it's already in there, right?
That's
The changes don't feel substantive enough to merit bothering with the change. But we'll see where we go from there. Jim, number 19?
Thank you, sir. Okay, 7:30.
We got 10 minutes. We got 10 minutes.
He's keeping us honest.
I'm done. Doug, I won't talk anymore.
I can hold my breath for 10 minutes.
Thank you for your feedback.
He can hold his breath for 10 minutes.
Oh.
Yeah, so
I guess 19 is
We only have two more. Oh, one more.
just basic.
whatever, you're
Yeah. And then 20?
20,
I
I guess?
Item 19 addresses
Changes in
how
statement.
the public can participate
No.
in the meeting.
No,
No.
sorry.
Sorry, 19 was
19 is
just the name change.
legalese. 20 is what you're talking about. That's where we need to be.
On my sheet, I
there's-
got
Yeah,
discrepancy.
19 is just public
19.
information act. We're fine.
19, add new section 1105. What do you have?
That's,
I
that's
have
20.
I
amend
think we have
section
a
1101.
revised one that says 20.
I've got the
Yeah.
same one that Jim has.
Yeah, I thought
I
originally
don't
you
have,
said 19.
I
but
don't
this
have
is
20 items. I have 19.
Oh, that's right. Well,
Yeah.
so
Well, 20 is your section
Just real quick.
1105.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
the first.
19
summary page.
changes Open Records Act to Public Information Act. That's it.
That's just a minute.
So go on with your 19. That's my 20. Apparently Jim's David's 19.
I think they made a change.
not-
Yes, I have this.
The one, the
But he's
printed
saying
out one
there's
that we have in
there's
front of us
20.
is the same one that Jim has.
Sorry.
Oh, why is
Just
it?
the
Everyone-
Let's get a quick
Hey, y'all.
report
Hey,
from our
y'all.
city secretary.
Hey, let's listen.
Everyone has the
Nine-
same printed copy. The summary page is just missing an item.
Right. So 19 is the provision, 1101 about public records, and it's just a name change to remove more specifics about the government code. And then 20 is the substantive new provision 1105, public participation.
I see it now. It
Yes, sir.
didn't make the summary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And the reason why we want to change that with the government code is because what if the actual code itself? So it makes much more sense to
I got
refer to
Well,
the specific act.
actually,
I got mine.
it does.
All right, so
And that's actually the only one that I have a beef with,
Uh-huh.
is the taking out the government code and substituting the Public Information Act.
All right, explain why.
Now, we think of it as the Public Information Act. And
Listening.
the other part, we think of it as the Open Meetings Act.
Okay.
And that's how we refer to it colloquially. That is not how it is identified in the statute.
So what if the
The
statute?
statute does not actually say that you can, that the short title of this is the Public Information Act, or the short title is the Open Meetings Act. I've got both of those right here.
So wait, just to be clear, what you're saying is that the nomenclature of the specific act isn't reflected in the actual language within the statute. So consequently, even though what we're concerned about is referring to a statute that might be struck out, we would still not be able to actually refer to the respective law.
Which is different from,
Okay.
by the way, the local government code
That's
section,
fine.
where it says this subtitle may be cited as the Local Government Records Act. So that
No, it's okay.
is actually the way it is in the state statute.
Well, so
That's fine.
So I think
The
the
other one's
main
just not.
Okay.
So David, I think the main problem here, if my information is accurate, so this says the Texas Open Records Act, Chapter 552 of the Government Code, but the Open Records Act is Chapter 551, and the Public Information Act is 552.
Oh, that,
So it
that's-
conflicts with itself.
Oh, that's a good catch, but
It's still
regardless, it's not called the Open Meetings Act or the Public Information Act
know.
in the statute.
Okay.
What's
We
it
are
called?
we are
Can we just
aggressively
change the
agreeing.
name?
We just need to look
No,
at
no,
what
no,
the-
no, no. The names aren't in
No,
the
no,
statute.
no, no. I said we're
So
aggressively
yeah,
agreeing. I agree.
we just flipped the 551 and the 552.
That's fine.
But you're correct about that, Doug. That's a good catch.
Yeah. So then let's just look at that. That's fine. That makes perfect sense. He's right. That makes perfect sense.
So what, I don't understand, what are we saying? We're just
He's saying
not
he's saying specifically the nomenclature for this, the Public Information Act, does not exist within the actual applicable statute.
Yeah.
Doug just made a point that the applicable statute referenced here is not the applicable statute.
Right.
So consequently, what we need to do is have something that's actually reflective of the language of the statute itself.
So what I
this
heard,
551.
well, no, so what I heard is that we want to amend that to Texas Public Information Act and leave Chapter 552 of the Government Code. Because it's
Well,
552.
what he's saying though is that
That should be public information, not open records, correct?
Do we need to lawyer this ourselves, or should we defer this to the city attorney to? figure out
If
the
we
right
want to
terms of that.
include
Give it to
public
him.
information and
So-
open records, we can, but they need to flip. But if we just say Public Information or Open Meetings Act, there is
That's not good enough. No, I'm with you. We're agreeing on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone's agreeing with you,
Again,
David.
aggressively agreeing.
Everyone's
Okay.
agreeing with you. We just need to understand how to fix it. I'm going to leave that to Mike. Thank you, Jonathan, for pointing that out, that we don't need
And
to,
this is
we don't
for
need
the
to
local
legalize
government
that
code.
We
just
may
yet.
have lawyers on
fine.
council, but we don't have to lawyer ourselves.
because
So let's move on
it's got
to item 20.
I like this. Go.
Okay,
This is
so,
good.
20?
Yeah, it's fine.
20 also had a lot of animated discussion,
Animated.
referring back to the days of COVID when people weren't able to participate, and emails. There was one request that emails should be read into the public record.
No.
I think we avoided that.
Yeah.
And just said that they must be included as part of the minutes. Remote participation. A lot of folks are unable to attend personally, and so we thought it would be beneficial to require through the charter a mechanism for people to participate remotely. And then we put some guardrails on that as well in terms of registration requirements, time limits, and measures to ensure that all participants can be heard.
I mean,
So I'd like
you're
to
right.
hear a
So
little
the
bit about
ESD previously
rationale
played their
for
voice.
the
mail.
remote
I'm sorry, I can't hear
participation.
anybody.
Yeah, so we were,
Yeah.
I need more detail.
there are some concerns about that.
There's what?
So in particular, remote participation.
So we were trying not to
Be
be
prescriptive.
definitive in terms of saying by landline, by cell phone, by Zoom, by whatever. We're trying to be vague, just to make sure that there was a
So
way
so
and
this
ways for them to
specifically
participate.
says live telephone.
Yeah.
Right, live telephone.
And
or
I
internet-based
go back
audio
to
video.
during COVID times, we took public comment remotely. I remember in particular the ESD meeting, watching one of their meetings online. They had a voicemail box and they just hit, play my messages.
That's literally that's what we were just talking about.
Right, but
I mean, this
but
is
that's
saying
not
we're
live
required to
telephone.
apply.
Somehow
Yeah.
connecting a live telephone into the system in order to, I mean, that's a technology leap.
Yeah.
Travis
that's
County
investment.
did do that during COVID because I spoke live on
You spoke
one of their
live.
meetings during
They
the
just hold the phone
comment.
up to the microphone.
No,
or-
no, you called in and
They
this
do.
is
They
all-
have that
Like you
now.
do?
yeah, no, I'm just
No, 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 no.
providing
Even-
an example.
No, no,
I'm
no.
not-
No, to be fair to Mel, that's literally
No, I
what
know.
happens. That happens right now.
Sure.
Is that you can call in? They
Oh,
have
it still
they have
They
yeah.
still do it?
Yeah, they still do it.
I mean,
Okay.
and I think this is a good idea. I think the way it's written really feels very onerous and expensive, especially the live elements. Like, I don't know, maybe there is a way that we could come up with someone to send recordings or something. But even that, you've
Again,
gotta-
we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Travis County does it with Zoom. They have an applicable Zoom link, and people comes in and when they want to speak on a specific issue, they do that. Now, do we want to go down that path? I don't know. But what I'm saying is that, even
I'm not
if we're
disagreeing.
talking about
Of
if we're
course
talking
people
about
do
also
it.
having a what do we call that line? Helpline, like
311?
Yeah, 311. Like someone,
Oh.
hey, I'm calling about this blah blah here.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Make it
No,
part of the record.
I know people do it. I guess I'm
You don't need to play it at meeting.
asking.
I mean, I worry a little bit. I don't know if anyone's familiar with Chad Kroger. Okay.
Yeah, Chad goes deep.
Yeah, so you got Chad
They
Kroger.
didn't get it. I kept trying to be like, guys, Chad
I know-
goes
I know-
deep.
Well, in San Francisco, you've got a singing person, a guy who shows
Yes,
up
he
and
does.
sings for 3 minutes at every
Yes, he
council
does.
meeting.
So be it.
We talked about that.
Hey,
So
we talked about
We,
that.
This
we
is-
could only be so lucky. If
Hey,
But I know I've invited him.
I want to bring reason
Greg,
to this.
Greg, what you got?
So this is the government. There will be those times. I've seen some nice TikToks of dudes doing some silly stuff, but we never want the good to be outweighed by the bad. That's the first thing. We want to make sure that every single person, whether they are physically here or not physically here, has the opportunity to voice their opinion. Because we're in 2026. I'm not sure about you all, but we do this thing called FaceTime all day, every day. We have this same existence. I'm going to repeat it one more time. This same existence that people are online right now. All they have to do is simply add a feature to this existing software. And we now, yes, Serena,
No, we've checked on it.
we absolutely.
It's not an option in the software package we have now.
So, wait. So what she's saying is that within the software that we have right now,
You just have to pay for an extra feature.
Yeah, it's not a button.
You just have to add a simple feature to this existing software. That's a fact. That's not a question. I already checked.
What's the software package?
That's what I'm saying. All this is video chat.
No, you told me you checked.
Even if you switch this to StreamYard, even if you switch this to Zoom, this is no different than any regular conference space meeting.
What's the cost?
That I don't know.
You said,
That I don't know. I'm just going with features. I didn't check the price because when you talk about costs, sometimes it goes into per city, per person, and we don't know what this will fall under. But this is just simply bringing us into 2026 so that people can be able to participate and have equal value in their voice. Whether they're physically here, they can't. Like, for example, I couldn't even attend the charter session because I had to speak in Jackson, Mississippi, at my alma mater. That's crazy. That's crazy. I could see it, but I couldn't participate. And so that's all we're asking. That's simply all we're asking. And this is what it says. And be mindful. I know you all were mentioning a telephone. Be mindful. It says or internet-based product.
Yes.
Please don't major in the minors, guys. But that's the holistic component of what this is. We're bringing us to 2026. This is a charter that's outdated before they had telephones and before they had internet. So now we're just simply doing something that has internet and success.
So my suggestion is this: is that I'm with Jonathan. I like the idea. I think it's very prescriptive regarding what to do with that. Greg, I'd be interested in hearing. Okay, you said that you're aware of what our software is, and you're saying that we can go ahead and add that to software. You can send us an email tonight that shows basically what our software is and how you can add that function. I'd be curious about that.
And more importantly, some that are cheaper than this one.
Well, no. Remember, don't move the.
It's like
the
if we go through this evaluation,
the
reason I brought the price up because there was always it's going to be so much more of a heavy lift and it's going to be so more expensive. It's not. This is basic stuff that we have in today's language.
What I'm saying is that I'm very curious to hear that.
Everything I don't understand is easy, right? should be easy to do.
I'm curious.
We'll have to investigate that. I'm more interested, Mike. This is a question for you. This talks about remote participation by the public. What Greg just mentioned was he mentioned participating in the Charter Review Commission remotely. First of all, I don't know that that's allowed under Texas law.
So
It is.
It is.
You can
do that.
Two-way
Yeah,
capability.
you can do that.
Posting is different, availability, two-way capability.
Well, I mean,
There's
There's some
Yeah,
technology components.
Yeah, I was about to
We
say
would
yeah.
need to add
So
quite a bit. Right.
the ESD does it. Travis County does it. Other people actually, to be fair, other people have asked. They're like, "What do you mean you can't zoom into your meeting?" And I was like, "Well, our software, we can't for our technology purposes."
Austin
And
City
let's
Council
and let's I know. And let's be again. I want to make sure we're clear. But I want to say this publicly so we hear about this. These are things we looked into. And then we also are looking at our new city hall, so we're saying, okay, what can be functions with our new city hall that we're going to pay for, as opposed to something that's short term for us to be able to do that as well. So why in the interim do something with that as well? So I want to make sure that's clear.
But this would be an election
Yes,
in November,
yes, yeah,
and by the
that's-
time it would be effective, it
exactly.
would be in the new.
And that's why Serena said what she said. So that's fine.
It needs to be read. But I think if you're introducing technology to a conference space that doesn't have two-way communication, you already in 2000.
I know.
This room, yeah.
You're already in 2000. So if you introduce any software,
There is no software.
And I know
it's
how
definitely software.
and I know how well versed. I mean, so for people who don't know, he did this for a living for a long, long time. So he would be the person to know about this stuff.
So I am curious, this does list administrative rules, city council may adopt, amend, and enforce rules and procedures necessary to implement this section, including technical requirements, deadlines, and standards of decorum. One of the things that worries me in this, and I hope it's not a straw man, but it's the filibuster. It's the
3 minutes.
I can get 3 minutes, but if I can, get on Fiverr and hire 10,000 people to record a 3-minute video, you're never getting anything done again.
That did come up to discussion. Let me address that. So that
Well,
came to discussion.
When
You have
it's
to just-
live, I have the discretion
No,
of saying 2
you-
minutes or 1 minute.
If you have a certain number of people signed up to speak, don't
That's
you have the discretion to limit it to 1 minute or 2 minutes like they do with the school
I
district?
do, but not if it's pre-recorded.
Yeah. So to answer
Well, I
that
guess,
question,
but we're talking about live.
Well,
We're talking
but he's going through
live and
Okay,
internet
yeah.
based.
Mayor Weiss, I'll address that. So of course that came up. The negative always comes up first before the good. So essentially, we likened it to an experience that I just had. Tickets for the Obama presidential thing. You get in line, and after a certain amount of time, the line is closed. And so that's the same. And you state that up front, so that after so long,
We allot 1 hour for public comment.
exactly whatever, and that's the piece that we're asking you all to go back and say, hey, you make the decision on those items, whether it's the time limit, whether it's the because you could definitely cut it off. Like I recall helping to name General Marshall Middle School.
You
And
know
there's
what?
a certain time, there's a certain amount of per testimony, and you had a certain cutoff.
So to his point, wait, I want to make sure we're clear about this. So on this board of directors in the state bar of Texas, this is what we do, is that we say you have to go ahead, if you're doing public comment, you have to do it by a certain time the day before, and then you'll get sent a Zoom link that morning, and then we give 2 minutes for people to say something, and then after that we move on from there.
And the cool thing about the software, you can cut them off immediately as two. There's no 2:00. You know what I mean?
To the mayor's point, I don't think this specifies playing pre-recorded
I was about to ask that.
video.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah, 'cause
see
I
that
was
included in here, that wasn't our intent.
But it says live.
Yeah, our goal was to do live.
The public to participate by remote connections.
Yeah.
Our intent is to do
But
live.
live remote
Including live phone or
Our intent is
internet-based audio
100% to
video.
do live.
So
Then
we
it also says we can adopt reasonable procedures to govern the participation.
Yeah, correct.
So-
but to what the mayor was saying specifically is that including means it doesn't
Yeah.
preclude something else. It just says this must be included by the term
But it
included.
also says
Maybe
we can do the
Yeah,
procedure.
y'all can set
that's
the
what I'm saying.
standards.
And I think going back to what John, let's go back to what we just said. Is that this is a good idea? Let's try to massage and see what's feasible and what makes sense.
And the standard, like I said, the standard could be what you all decide, because we did, as a commission, didn't go through everything, StreamYard, Zoom, blah, 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 blah. And so the committee that could put that together, we trust the IT team of the city, whoever is doing the multimedia conference rooms best, right? And so they got to get the best cameras, whether it's Logitech, whether it's Bravo, whatever the case may be. You choose that based on price, bids, blah, 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 maintenance. That's not something we did in our space, but the collective is just to bring us to 2026. So that's
So in the spirit of making this something that voters understand and simplifying the task of administering it, would you be open to the idea of, say, in 11.05, just ending that proposal with the word communication, and then allowing the council and the staff to do everything else? So it would read, remote participation by the public to the extent permitted by state law. The city shall allow members of the public to participate in meetings by remote communication, period. And then we just implement that.
So you just strike everything after communication there?
Yeah, so we will figure out some way to allow remote participation. And that might change as the technology changes over time. And that way people who are mobility limited, disabled, people who are working remotely, or they're traveling, they're in Mississippi that week, but they have an agenda item they really want to talk about,
If they're in Alabama, we sure as hell
would
don't
be
allow
able to
it.
do it in some remote participation way that is feasible with whatever the technology is, in 2027 or 2030.
as a collective, we work trying to do
I don't
live.
think, hold on.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to solution it tonight.
Right,
No.
I certainly think that's something that this committee would be willing to talk about.
I think we've had a
Given-
good conversation
given
about
The
concerns.
optimistic notion that we'll have another meeting.
If,
Well,
the one thing
we'll
is,
get
if
to item
Jim-
three.
Jim is giving you dagger eyes.
Yeah, we collected,
Oh, I
we
get
discussed
those
this
all
in
the time.
depth. That's the main thing, Councilmember.
So,
We discussed live, non-live, recorded, not at all, and we landed on live. So kind of going back to the same messaging like you said before, we spent countless hours. This was actually multiple meetings, by the way.
I like your
and-
idea, David. I think,
And so
I think
we landed on live.
providing
The
the city
goal, once
works
again,
with
just to
the law.
bring it.
Saying the city needs to do it feels a lot more charterish than defining a bunch of technologies.
Right.
Yeah.
except for the
Yeah.
fact,
Amen.
if you say, well, if the intent, and I'm open to the different options, but they specifically included live because they wanted live participation. And
Yes,
so
we definitely
that's
want that in
different than recording something in advance. And so if you cut it off at that point, then when we can say, well, it's too expensive to do live, and so you're not going to do it.
Yeah, and
So,
for the record,
That's some of the reasons
me and
why you
Terry
codify a
agreed
lot
on
of
this
these
one.
things.
And I think that would be awesome, but also what if we don't have the money? And I'm
Right.
not saying we would have that situation, but the city of Austin's spending $30 million right now redoing their broadcast, and now you could argue that's way more than it should be.
I could
But
do this
that is
right
what
now.
that is the
That's
bid
what
that
it
they're
costs.
accepting.
I mean,
Right?
I'm gonna
That's what they're
say,
doing.
yeah, I hate it when people, because like.
it's way more than it feels like it should
Yeah,
be.
it should be.
But that's how much it costs.
I feel like we fall into Jeff Marsh.
Well, but I'm gonna go
Earn those
back to
restrooms.
that,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
Travis County is doing it.
Everybody's doing it.
Again, I don't think
And
anybody
so
is against
so
doing
I'm,
it.
I'm,
I don't think
I'm
anyone's
unsure, I don't know that it's
just
a large amount of money. And I guess you have to balance whether you want public participation and you want to open it up.
And I think that's
or-
a great rule for the charter to say, hey, we want people to be
Yeah.
able to participate in
I
that
don't,
way.
I don't think
That's
I
what
think
they,
this
yeah,
is,
that's
and
what
we
they said.
specifically
And
want.
if the intent is live, duly
Councilman-
noted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Councilmember and Deus, we specifically went through many discussions about live, and all we simply doing is bringing us to today's language and today's technology. Give you a perfect example. This last week we honored some guys giving them $40,000 scholarship. I announced it on my phone for free, face to see their reaction. That technology is on my phone, people.
I mean, I think
And it's no different than what we do. We have cameras that exist that follows my voice.
I think we understand that, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, we
And I don't know
we
if some
understand
people
it.
do.
We
How
understand.
simple this is.
And you,
So-
and
so
you
there is-
jokingly said,
There's something I'm looking for in the charter because there's something we do, and this was always something I was very proud of. Right? We say citizens may speak on any item on the agenda before we take a vote. The state came along and now says that we do. The state then codified that and makes cities do that. Before we take a vote on anything, we have to have the opportunity for citizens to speak. I almost want to mirror that language for what you're saying here, right? Give citizens the opportunity. That's the goal. That's the framework. The way we do it, again, feels like policy, feels like implementation. But if what we want to do is have the ability for remote participation, then let's just say that.
Yeah, we specifically call out remote and live, only
Live.
because
I think that's fine.
because
So-
we're trying to transform. And
So-
when
So-
you ask for something, Mayor, of something substantial, this is something substantial.
Let me say one last thing on this, and I think we can probably move on because I think we all understand
sure?
what everybody's trying to say. I think my other reticence with calling out live specifically, and I get it, and I agree, we should do that. I can certainly imagine a scenario where we can't do that from day one after this passes. And we may have to step into and figure out the email thing or figure out a record. We may have to do something, right? And you're right, they're not defining a timeline. But if it is shall, then somebody can immediately complain about the fact that we're not doing live on day one. And going back to Councilmember Rogers' point, I think defining some of these these things is probably more than what is needed in the charter.
I'm not worried about a legal challenge on that. I mean, it's whatever you're going to go to, you're going to see a reasonable standard. I mean, you get nuanced suits on that.
I mean,
You can
let's be clear.
communicate any implementation delays,
Where
and
was
then
it?
I think the citizens will understand as long as you're moving towards.
Yeah. Well, any judge.
I mean, there is something that y'all didn't remove from the charter here where it says for every budget adopted after the 1997-1998 fiscal year budget. So there is some enabling language in there that says, as of this date.
Well, we ain't worried about that. We worry about remote access. But the main, and like I say, at the end of the day, it's like the other piece that you will find, and this is an aha moment. It's actually easier to do live than recorded.
It could be.
You
All
just
right.
press play.
We're all good on that part. I think we've got some recommendations to go through, Jim.
Yes, sir. And so moving on from
Ken's already gone through a wardrobe change.
Appendix
That's how long we've been
A,
here.
or whatever it is, to B, proposed recommendations. We have 6 proposed recommendations, and I asked for volunteers, really, to represent these. I made a list of names somewhere, but I left that list at home. So, recommendation 1, who took that one?
That was me and Ursha.
Okay, Greg and Urcha, and do y'all want to?
Yeah, we're combined.
Okay.
I'll read it as is. The council adopted an official policy with procedures for contacting impacted landowners within the city's extraterritorial jurisdiction when infrastructure projects would impact these properties. And I'll give a little piece and I'll throw it back to Ursula for additional. In so many words, it's like there's always a discussion about whether somebody gets annexed in, annexed out of ETJ. There's always a conversation of what the lines are. I feel like there has to be some level, and not just me, but the collective said there has to be some collective education about that for our citizens. Because even simple things like whether I can vote on an issue, whether this impacts me because I'm in an ETJ, I shouldn't find out that when I go to the poll only. And we got to accept the fact that that's not an automatic thing that people know about. And so whenever, especially when it's going to impact their space, their living, their roads, we need to make sure that there's some version of public knowledge, public form, make it bold and pretty, be just as bold for sending messages in the email or on the website in bold print, in a newsletter, or whatever that goes to our office.
Mayor and Council, the biggest concern here was being transparent and communicating with those citizens in the ETJ when a project impacts them, whether it's a road project for a connecting street, or a utility project, or a street closure, or traffic flow. That was the main thing, is to let them know how that impacts them. Oh, I can't go this way anymore because there's work done on this street. It's not in the ETJ, but it impacts how I get out of the ETJ or into the ETJ. That was the biggest thing, is how do we communicate with them and let them know what's happening, how it impacts them, and what they can do.
Okay. I think where I get confused, so what you've described, I don't think it's something, how do we notify our citizens, our residents of those very same things?
You send a letter to people within 500 feet, and sometimes it's not enough.
True, but not of a road closure. No, we do that as of like a zoning change, a development agreement, something along those lines. Yeah, we send notifications of 500 feet, and we don't send those to the ETJ. So, I mean, we could be talking about a couple $100 in postage extra in those scenarios. But when it comes to infrastructure projects, road closures, we're announcing that on the website. We're announcing that through the newsletters.
And people can sign up to get Key to the City. They get every week. They can sign up. There's a whole lot of ways to engage where we're not. We don't mail our current residents road closures.
No, but
Yeah.
I use
Yeah.
road closures maybe in error, but anything that impacts them significantly.
Yeah.
So the question-
And I'm
feedback I got,
supportive
they don't
of-
hear
If
about
someone's
it.
in, within 500 feet of a change, and if they were in the city, we would send them a letter, but if they're in the ETJ, we would not send them a letter.
No,
Is that-
actually, I believe we do some, it's within
Okay,
500 no matter
I just
what.
wanted to clarify.
Let's
I,
I'm
but if they're in
We
Round
sure
Rock,
about that?
Friends and loved
I'm,
ones. Loved ones and
I will double check.
Yeah,
but
because I mean, I think
Was
that,
that the
I feel like we
concern?
don't because
I don't think we do.
we've erred on the
come to the
side
website
of
to
caution.
check.
The state
Gotta come to
says
the
X,
website
we
to-
do more.
well, and the state says 200 feet and we do
more.
500.
Yeah,
Always.
but
So we already try to extend.
yeah, but the question becomes if
I'll
we're
double check.
we're at that borderline, like say Cameron Road, right? Like if somebody lives in the ETJ as compared to that as well, it'd be interesting. But I think going back to what Doug's saying is that our software doesn't necessarily doesn't preclude anybody right now from not signing up from there. So if you're living in the ETJ, you know, how you become cognizant of what's going on with the city is by signing up for the text messages and everything else that goes with that. The question moving forward, and Greg, that's your question, which I don't really know a good answer to that because most
I can give
people
it to you.
will not know or understand that they live in an ETJ until the one year comes up when they're paying their taxes. And then after that, another time when they vote. Those are the times that they're going to find that out. And we've said this for years: is that it's frustrating that people who are I know we're having this conversation in public again.
The number of people who told me they voted for me
Yes.
but live in the ETJ, it's like no, you didn't, but that's cool.
And for us, that should be happening with whoever the broker is and whoever's selling these homes. Because literally, but that's not happening. So we've had this discussion for years.
Let me
It
kind
may
of
be
break
happening,
down.
they may just be overwhelmed with everything going on
There's
and
a
buying
lot
a
of
home that
overwhelming
they don't
there.
understand all of these. Like, I had no idea about all this stuff when
Yeah.
I came and moved here.
So
Same.
I have a great
Because it's
idea of a way that we
Especially
could
if
fix
it's not
that.
state.
What's that?
Is state law would allow us to have non-voting members on some of our boards and commissions.
We do. We are allowed ex officio.
They
We had
can't count-
this conversation. We had this conversation last charter.
They can't count. They can't vote, and they can't count for quorum, but they can be a member.
I brought
And
this
so
up.
If people really
Was it
want to be engaged,
5 years ago?
we could make that change.
We brought that up 5 years ago. I know. I said I wanted that.
So
It is what it is.
Just
but,
a clear-
but still, I mean, to the point though. Again, we're the ones who are elected. You think everyone still comes? Hey, he's our mayor, so therefore I know everything that's going on. You know what I mean? Like even if we have that, I just
It's all
think
my fault.
I just think
I think it's just.
I just think for our purposes, what frustrates me is that I feel like, unlike a lot of communities, people in Pflugerville ETJ feel like they're part of our community.
Which is
And,
great,
yes,
right?
and so consequently, if we allow them to be ex officios on our board, et cetera, right there as well, it's a little more complicated because of what. I remember we looked at boards versus commissions and everything else from there as well. So that's a
Ordinance versus
yeah,
charter.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah. So we've I mean that's probably another conversation with that. But I appreciate that. And since somebody's looking at me with dagger eyes, I think we probably need to
Well,
get to
no,
number two.
my scenario, and I want to make sure.
She's like, that's just my face.
I want to make sure this is clear. So
Engaging intently.
when we talk about those infrastructure changes that affect the ETJ, many of those I think are going to be utility projects where they are customers. They're water customers, they're wastewater customers. Our wastewater CCN goes 3 times beyond our city limits, right? So do they get that water newsletter?
Oh,
So
they
they're
would in their
being
bills,
notified about infrastructure projects
Yes.
through.
If they're a customer.
I mean, to be honest, does everyone open up their water bill when they get it in the email? Like this.
I don't
is
look
like
at. I don't
We
read.
can
I'm just
only
saying-
give them
I
information.
know,
We can,
I know, but it
we
doesn't
can
go
lead a
to.
horse to water.
Yeah, absolutely.
We know
It
what I'm
doesn't.
saying.
Pun intended. Pun intended.
If I could push us along a little bit,
Okay.
these are their recommendations of things
I
for
was-
council to consider.
I was speaking to the heart of the matter. The heart of the matter was providing more communication, and I appreciate that. And so perhaps that's us doing more communication with, about the ways to stay engaged as well. But I just wanted to clarify because there was 2 different issues. One was about notification, another thing was about, this says infrastructure projects that would impact those properties.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering, what was the impetus of this conversation and what properties were not being notified and of what types of projects that,
Give an example.
well, yeah, but
I don't have the specifics,
Oh,
but I
okay.
had 3 different people to approach me and say, hey, they did this,
Yeah.
and I didn't know. And it's like, well, you're in the ETJ,
Mm-hmm.
and there was one that came and said, I want to vote, and I can't. I go, well, you're in the ETJ,
Yeah.
you can't vote. But it's mainly, I think there was I don't remember what the project was, but it caused them to have to divert how they got home.
Because of the road.
Because of the traffic flow, and they weren't notified of that in advance. Maybe they didn't read the key to the city, maybe they didn't go online, but they felt like there was not communication. I don't know about door hangers, but I'm just saying they were frustrated because something happened that impacted them, and they were in the ETJ, and they felt that the city didn't do a good job of communicating.
I'm curious, do you know what neighborhood that was in?
I can ask the guy, I don't know where he lives.
Probably
He's a
Vine
member
Creek.
of my church.
Well, no, I'm curious. Vine Creek city limits. No, because I could see that where if we're door tagging folks who are going through, if we're doing the
Street
HA5,
reconstruction.
right, or we're doing street reconstruction, and we're putting door hangers on the people whose their street is in front of. Well, if that's where you cut through, then yeah, you're not going to get notified.
Yeah.
We should have those changing those variable message signs, the flashing signs, that say
If we
the
have
street's
that
going to
out
be
there.
closed,
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
such and such a date.
We can put it in the Kaufman corner.
Now there you go. There you go. All right.
I'll
With that,
probably add one last piece.
I wanted to go ahead and move on. I think
Okay, go for
I think
it.
we beat it. Jim, this
These are
one says see
recommendations
attached.
Looking at
to you all, by the
the
way.
second
didn't get an
recommendation.
attached.
I don't see an attached either.
Who was it that picked up recommendation number
This was
2
Sam.
for the economic development?
What's the attached?
This was
We
Sam.
didn't get the attached.
Was there an attached?
This was actually Sam. So
I think the people that volunteered for that. are
Okay, item
absent.
3.
I can talk about it, but basically, the council adopt economic development proposals, and it's essentially understanding greater details of how much we give into people and like to motivate them to come to the city as a big business, small business, or whatever the case, and make sure that the public is kind of aware.
So tax incentives.
But it's not just tax incentives.
380 agreements would come from the city. Most
Yeah,
of
it's
that
not
would
just tax
be
incentives.
PCDC. So my having spent a decade on PCDC,
Yeah.
I will tell you, I don't want to put I don't want to put metrics in writing because then someone's going to come to me and say, "This is what you owe me,"
Yeah, that's fair.
and I may or may not want that business.
But that's why we have this as a recommendation for you all to have some kind of discussion on it to improve the economic development. This is
I
a
agree with that.
recommendation, not amendment.
Yeah.
We're working through that with PCDC.
Yeah.
So
All right.
It's not lost on us. That's
Item
why
number
we-
3.
Item 3, for, what's this, early council major documents policy. Does anybody want to take that one? Again, I apologize, I left my notes where everyone volunteered.
Does someone have the major questions doctrine?
This is Melody.
I submitted as a proposal for them to consider.
No way. I don't believe that.
So then that sounds like that's something the council can consider.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Like
So
I said,
number
They
of
agreed with my proposal, so.
No.
They put it as a recommendation,
No.
and
It's a
Yes, as a
recommendation.
since it's your
recommendation,
proposal
yeah.
and you're on council,
Can
guess we
I
can
ask a
consider-
question about this since we are
I'll
Yes, ma'am.
circle
do this
back.
every 5 years? If all of the council members were to come to your meetings, it would be quorum, so we can't all be there. So
Correct.
how do you feel about us being there?
You're a citizen.
But all of us cannot come.
So if you go back and look at our previous meeting, I took 3 minutes of public comment to address that issue.
It's a problem for me.
I feel like had I been at that meeting and a council member were there, I would allow that council member the same privilege as any other community member and given them 3 minutes to speak in public comment. I would not have allowed them to participate in deliberation of this charter. Doing so, in my humble opinion, not this committee's, but I made this very clear when I came to the last meeting. Doing so, I feel circumvents our process. The process here is that the citizens get together and we put forward our amendments, our recommendations for amendments that go to the charter without the council being able to say no.
Right.
And so for a council member to come to this meeting and attempt to influence us in a way to get something without council deliberation, which is where you get the second bite of the apple, to me, that's an issue. And as the chair, had I been there, I wouldn't have allowed it. That particular meeting, our vice chair wasn't allowed either. And so our city secretary managed that meeting, which put her in a very uncomfortable position.
What happened to the vice chair?
No, you said she was not able to make it.
The vice chair wasn't able to.
Oh, I know, I heard
Yeah, she
allowed.
wasn't
I was like,
allowed.
wait,
No,
what?
she wasn't able
Okay.
to make it either,
She was
so you
disabled.
had both of us absent, which made for a very difficult situation.
Okay.
And be mindful. I will say this is like in that situation, it was what these things repeatedly came up, and so we brought kind of both sides to that same meeting, so we can have the city staff member to provide expertise, and the person who was doing it to add her thoughts.
Yeah, my concern is
So, but I agree. I mean, at the end of the day, it is biased.
Well, I mean, understood. It's the council members I'm concerned about, because if there are meetings that we can not all attend, then that means some people are privy to some things that you all were talking about, and it just changes the game. As far as like, Rudy said he hasn't looked at this at all. Like, I waited for you all to finish this so that I could review it, because my thought was, we appointed each of you because we wanted to trust that you would be representative of the city and all of us here to go and make recommendations and then bring it back to us. If we all cannot attend, seems a little bit off for me. Just my opinion.
One point on that, I understand that y'all can attend, and I
We
understand
can.
that. But just like regular city council members, all of our city people can attend. But the avenue is out there for them to view each meeting online, just like our city, our charter review. They're online. So y'all had the opportunity to review each one of the meetings without actually physically being there. That
Oh,
opportunity was
absolutely.
there.
Absolutely.
I
Did.
just wanted to make that point. That opportunity was there.
So-
If you didn't go and view those meetings, you didn't want to see it.
I don't think it's anyone that we didn't say.
I'm
we
talking
didn't wanna
about quorum.
View them. So we have to post a meeting. We can only attend a meeting. If there's a quorum of us present, it's a very specific scenario, right? And a council member wanting to propose a charter amendment can do so on this body. And it takes,
Independent of y'all.
it's a council member convincing at least 3 other people that we should put it on the ballot. Done, right? So it does seem a bit awkward for a council member to go to. Now, I submitted, I think, 3 or 4 things in writing that said, hey, here's some things I noticed you might want to consider, and I left it to you. But a council member showing up at your meeting and arguing or trying to convince you to put something on the ballot that then the council can't say, no, that's a bad
That's a
idea, or
problem.
no, we don't like that. That seems to circumvent the nature of this organization.
And again, where my perspective comes from is sitting in y'all's seats. Like, when that happened to me, I felt like that was inappropriate and awkward. And it changed. And what it does, it changes the whole tenor of the conversation, because then it's like, well, there's a council member saying explicitly this, so I guess we should go over this way because this is a council member. So that's my thought. But at the same time, everyone, we got 7 people. You run for your seat. You run your seat the way you want to run it. But that's my opinion, is that I purposely enjoy having y'all have a charge, because when did we meet? When did we talk to y'all? January?
Well, I mean,
December, January, and then after that, and then you come back, and it's like, okay,
well,
let's
it's
have a
also
conversation about what this is about.
important to have this conversation and say these things for the future citizens who will sit on this in the future, so that they understand how not all of us feel the same, and that if one city council member shows up, I've always felt that we're a body, and so I hold to that, and I wouldn't want any of us to come and influence you in any way, whether you know or not they can or not. Just their presence alone has the ability to do that, and I just think that needs to be spoken.
Thank you, Madam Pro Tem.
So,
Melody, you want to speak?
Yeah, so there were several city council members that did submit proposals for the Charter Review Commission to consider. And I was one of them. And I did that after I saw that other people had done it. That's the truth.
Anything you can do.
No, so I said, okay, we could do that. I consulted with the city attorney and I asked if I could do that.
There's nothing illegal. You're right. There's absolutely nothing illegal.
So I sent it to the commission to consider rather than coming at the end and just saying, okay, we're gonna add it, because I wanted to submit it to the commission. There were questions sent to me, and there were a number of them, and they were complicated questions. And then it was mentioned, it would be a good idea for you to come there in case anyone had questions. So that was the purpose of me going, is to be available for questions. People ask me questions.
Okay, wait. I want to be clear. So you went to their meeting. Is this what?
Yeah,
this is what happened? Okay. Like I said, I have no idea.
I don't know who.
They sent questions. There were long questions. They took several hours to answer them, but they were complicated and so there is that, well, you should be there to in case someone had questions. So I went there in case someone had questions, and there was a number. So just to be clear, when I was there was another Charter Review Commission member leading the meeting. So there was someone else leading the meeting of the Charter Review Commission, and then when someone had a question, they asked me the question. They asked the question of the staff, and so that was the purpose that I was going, because of the questions sent to me by the Charter Review Commission. So that's the reason I attended, to provide whatever clarity they wanted. So, I mean, I have other things to do on a Thursday evening, but there was questions, and so I wanted to make myself available.
If I could ask a question for clarification, you said you were asked to come to the meeting. Were you asked by the body or by an individual?
It was mentioned that there was questions that it might be helpful for me to, so it's an individual, but I received.
But it was an individual of the commission or an individual?
Yeah, they just
staff?
said it might be good. No, an individual of the commission.
Because you had you sent recommendations to them, they sent questions
I
back.
sent recommendations to
Okay.
the appropriate people in the city.
And then they reached out and said, hey, I've got questions about
Yeah.
these, why don't you show up? Okay.
Well, no, I mean, they said
Josh.
questions.
Josh,
go ahead, please.
Thank you, Josh.
So, I believe you had sent those proposals to us like other council members have in our March meeting, I believe it was. And we did have questions, so we decided to table it that time so that we could hear and get clarification from Melody.
Okay.
So I just want to say, I believe we as a body did invite her.
We did.
I do not believe that is my recollection. I believe we were asked specifically to send them to the secretary, the city secretary, and any questions we had would be directed that way. In fact, I remember asking her if I could ask a specific individual a question, and I was given the answer, no, I need to, please send it to me and I will forward it. So
I believe that's what was noted when we first started our meetings. That kind of set the stage for us. If we had a question, we would send it to the secretary, but it didn't go that way. We actually discussed this as a body, and we did request that she come.
We did invite her, Karen. And,
All right.
in her defense, we collectively did invite her.
Okay.
And so,
It sounds like we've got differences of opinion,
no,
but
we collectively,
it's not particularly, it's not particularly relevant.
Notice what I'm saying. We didn't just invite her. We invited the staff member because we try and get some truth telling up in here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I just want to make sure it's clear what the mayor's saying. It's like, okay,
So, I agree with you.
No violation of charter occurred.
It's fine.
It doesn't feel right to some of us, but no violation of charter.
Let me be even more specific. There was too many times in the council meeting that what I call wolf tickets were being sold. And so I personally wanted preferably a staff member on the finance team to be in our meetings to call a spade a spade. And I think she did that in an amazing way.
Okay.
What's her name? I don't even know her name. What's her name?
Tracy.
I think she did an amazing job. But at the same time, we still had the opposition of some of the things.
So you hosted a debate.
Well, I mean the counter, whatever the case. I'm calling opposition. I'm being frank. So But that was the thing. I want to make sure the truth. What was is not being done. Well, let me ask the person who does it.
Okay.
All right.
That's what the rest
Now,
of the case.
I'd like to move forward. Jim, I did see your hand up. Is it quick?
I'll just say, are we gonna get back to the?
Yes, that's where I'm trying to go.
We're helping, brother.
Quite an enjoyable.
Yeah, because we definitely went on a tangent there. We've got number 4,
Number 4.
Thank you.
technology and oversight,
So
surveillance oversight board.
In alignment with our recommendation to have a policy.
Good idea.
On the
Good idea.
charter, we are suggesting, and who, did someone pick this one, Craig? Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, so, technology world, it's changing. Y'all have lots of stuff to do, and it is our recommendation along with the 2.03. In accordance with that is the fact that y'all don't need to be professionals on all the technology stuff too. We have a lot of technology people, citizens, that can also be a part of a board that could help y'all be eyes for you. So that not only does that give an outside expertise so that y'all can focus on doing business for the city, but also that we can have a city input on knowing stuff about AI cameras and clear view or whatever it is that's actually been going on. So we need to have that oversight from the city to kind of as far as the board to be able to have to kind of remove a little bit of y'all, and so that y'all have at least a second check. If y'all want to do something, we either way, it's not a board telling y'all what to do, but it's a matter of
So it's still a recommending body?
Yeah.
It confuses me that it's labeled oversight, because that usually indicates some
I think that's
authority.
And getting into it, there is
President.
like right now, how much AI is there? How many cameras are there? And it's kind of hard to find that information, and allowing that board to also be like experts, like what do the citizens also want to know specifically to also ask of, instead of I have to go figure out what FOIA request to specifically ask to be able to do it. So it gives kind of a medial point, another, to be able to prepare that information ahead of time of what residents will be wanting to know, and with the expertise of the technology people of the board to be able to help guide and prepare, have things already prepared and ready for that information.
And what's good about that, Craig, is that this is something we're already thinking about and talking about. So I think your nomenclature regarding oversight is just there. It's just the vernacular.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're just looking for an advisory board, a board that's aware and cognizant of these things.
And I was
That's
thinking
fine.
a citizen advisory board.
Yeah.
When I read it, I thought it was a council.
Yeah, no. This is definitely a citizen advisory board on that. So I think that there's an old adage a judge taught me, is that when you strike gold, stop digging. So I don't think anyone's disagreeing with you.
Close and pass the sale.
Yeah.
I want to get a sense of how you envision this. Would you envision this as a board that is strictly made up of citizen technology professionals? Would you envision this as a mixed board where there might be some people from our IT staff working with citizens? Would you say maybe we want to have some people who don't have insight into technology and software as part of the board? How large a board do you envision this as being? How often would you think you would meet? What would the
We didn't get into the weeds.
This is a recommendation, David, so it's something for us to consider, and I think we would do that.
Potentially, y'all like us, finding citizens within your jurisdiction or whatever to possibly be, that the commissioners can elect to be on that board. Because y'all would have, at least in that way, y'all would at least have a connection with us as well, with the citizens. So, and then I think that's a great idea to have possibly have technology on that board as well. But
I
that's,
would assume we would have at least some technology people on a board like that.
I would assume it'd be like our finance
like
and
finance
budget,
and
where we
budget.
have
Yeah,
certain
where we have some people who
requirements.
have
that's
relevant
But-
technical expertise.
I don't
And
think we
one of-
need to solution it tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just
Appreciate
trying to
the
get a sense of what the
recommendation.
proposal is.
I think
and the
it's,
one thing I will add to it is the fact that one of the concerns is just civil liberties, especially with all the cameras,
We agree.
and making sure that we are protecting the civil liberties,
Absolutely.
and that the intent is also to help make sure that we have control over the information and that we can make the thing.
we will talk.
can
We,
make sure.
we will have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
We literally. I'm not even being facetious. We literally had this conversation yesterday.
We did.
Was it only yesterday?
So far.
Yeah. So far.
I mean, if we talk for longer, it can
No,
be the
let's
day
not
before
do that.
yesterday.
Let's
all
wrap
right. Number 5.
Number 5, policy on reporting to the public how fees are calculated and what the revenue covers.
Yeah. Not and are.
Yeah.
Did someone take this one, or is that?
Yeah, myself and Philip.
Yeah, all right, carry on, sir.
Basically, you just said it, so.
I mean,
Okay.
Yeah, basically, we're looking for the council to adopt an ordinance or formal policy to establish policy on reporting to the public on how fees are calculated and on what revenues it covers. And provide that on possibly the city website, but that's up to you guys.
I think what we just. I mean, we do that.
well, we
I
have a
did-
master fee
yeah,
schedule. So
yeah.
generally speaking,
Yeah.
Page
like
200
things like
of the
permits
budget.
are, by my understanding, and my lawyer's going to get mad at me, by state law, permits are intended to cover the cost to administer the permit. You know, they aren't punitive.
You can't be more than that.
Yeah, I can't say, well, I don't want you to build a bookstore there, so I'm going to charge bookstores excess permit fees. So when it comes to like permits, there's already a requirement that they only cover their costs. Now, if we're talking about like water rates, if we're talking about the membership to the recreation center, you know, yeah, that's going to be, we're going to calculate that fee in one way, and it's going to partially fund the operation of the rec center, right? So how you're looking for what, maybe more detail on that?
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically, what fees are actually collected. We would like to know the amount of those fees. We would like to know what the revenues that those fees cover. Currently, when we go out onto our website, onto our budget listing, that's not actually defined. And so, per the group, we were looking for more transparency, more clarity to our city members, and just a methodology used to determine those fee amounts. A lot of that information, majority of that information is not out there.
Well,
You know, we don't know the amount
So-
of
so,
fees covered.
yeah.
it's harder to find. So almost all our fees are set by a fee study.
Yeah.
So there's a
Yeah. So
there's a study that is done, that is conducted to figure out how much
Where's
those
that
fees
information
But,
found?
In your
yeah,
budget.
in the
It
study.
is in the budget?
yeah.
Because we weren't finding that when we were having our discussion.
Yeah.
yeah, page 200.
That's a
I
great
would
idea to
happily
pull it out
pull that out
Yeah.
as its own, maybe.
Because we-
That's what we're looking for, because
Sure.
it's really, in there,
100% I
it's
agree.
really,
And
being a
that's
citizen, I wouldn't know what that
course.
means.
exactly.
Because that kind of helps us understand your budget.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna
Okay,
tell you
here's the
this. So
fees
one of the
selected.
things that we do, sometimes we create more work for ourselves, and I say that because it was only a few years ago that we added the master fee schedule. So we list all those fees, and we added that to the budget. So we used to not even list all the fees out in the budget. The fees were just set by ordinance or resolution, and they were charged by the departments. So we consolidated all the fees into probably a 6-page document.
Yeah.
And put
But
that in the
it's
budget for the transparency
That's a
reasons.
separate
Now you're saying, well, now we need to know more about those.
Several months before.
We gave you the information, now we need to tell you more about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're creating more work for
But
ourselves.
also
Yeah.
to the point that there is a list, right? It's far into the budget, but maybe the average citizen wouldn't know like what department this was, because it says what the revenue covers. So what is it paying for? And so maybe there could be more clarity about
So-
this isn't whatever
yeah.
department or what.
So to that
There's some
point,
state law in there that I would have to clarify.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. So, and it's, when it's in the general fund briefly, whenever the city receives a
Okay.
revenue from the permitting department receives a revenue, and that could be a lot of money on a permit, $3,500. It doesn't go to that department. It
Yeah, okay.
goes to help parks and police and everything else in the general fund. So I don't have a line-to-line revenue that says it's important. It goes in the general fund by state law and is dispersed that way.
And that's the clarity we were looking for.
Yeah.
That's not out there.
Yeah.
One
So I
other
guess
quick
the answer
thing
is
that I
there,
wanted-
there is no
It's
answer
a
to that.
recommendation to y'all out there.
I just
Do
want to make
something
sure.
there to provide a little
No.
bit more
Yeah.
clarity.
Appreciate that, Jolly.
Just
Jonathan?
one other thing I wanted to say in case folks don't realize this, but those fees and the fee schedules go through the boards and commissions. So the Parks Board looks at, reviews, makes a recommendation to council on those things. Same thing with the planning department. So I did want to, like, it's
It
not a
goes through a
secret thing. It's not a thing that goes straight to council. It goes through our resident boards and commissions. They agree with staff that it's the right direction, and then it comes to council. So I just wanted to make that clear, that there is a public step in there.
So that's why I want to make sure it's really important. Words matter, right? So when we're saying transparency, I get a little concerned because I'm like, wait a minute, no, it's very transparent. Now, if we're saying where is it accessibility, that's a different question because it's transparent regarding the process, the information, etc. But is it accessible? Because just like you said, how am I going to heck know it's on page 200 of our budget? Is there somewhere else that you're able to put that from there to help illustrate what's happening?
Well, we've already done it on
Yeah.
development fees are itemized on, so it depends which fees, so
Yeah.
I want to be clear. Development fees are already pulled out and shared on the development pages. So we have done some of this. We will try to find a way to make it more clear.
Well, it's a recommendation.
Yeah, it's built on it.
And
Number
that-
6.
Philip,
That
did you,
brings us
I'm
to-
sorry, Philip, do you have anything to add to what Jolly was talking about?
Oh, that's it. Y'all just talked about it.
No, I wanted to give you an opportunity to speak, sir, because I know.
Well, Jim, maybe you'll get a chance on number 6 because I'm having a hard time following it. Maybe I just need to get something to eat. What's
Okay,
number 6 say?
As I'm leading into that, I'm gonna announce to everyone here that there is food in the back. My group is used to being fed prior to the meeting, so I just want to let everyone know. There's some grazing in the back. And I think, Jim, you were gonna take this one?
Yeah, it's not, I think it's to, the council adopt a policy to provide a summary with more tracking on bonds. Really a semi-annual publishing of, hey, here are the active bonds. Here's how much, we pulled from those, and here's how much we've spent, and kind of the overall kind of utilization. So that's kind of the idea, is just that there would be some sort of semi-annual cadence to at
Don't we
least.
get a quarterly report on that?
And
I need to ask that
And Serena, if you tell me that it's already there,
Well, now we've got a dashboard, but I don't know if all that information is in the dashboard.
It depends how you want to view it, right? So you're saying by project or by bond proposition?
I think maybe just by bond, but in also including
Right.
not just the voter approved bonds,
Right.
all the bonds, right?
I'll have to dig into how that's
How you
done.
can put it together.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
And it may be there. I'm just trying to.
okay. And I think the dashboard, that's part of the rationale to your point, Jim, is
you'd have to
regarding
go
the
to every
dashboard. So now we need to figure out how we can actually show that information for you. Okay. It's policy.
There's a 2020 bond page that was just added to the website. If you can't sleep tonight, go look at that.
Google that.
And then we
and
need
the nature
to.
documentaries aren't working.
And it needs, but if you're saying for COs too, that's different. So when you use the word bond, that means COs or GOs for me. And so it's a little nuanced. I want to give you what you want, so call me anytime and we can figure it out.
All right,
One
I'm
of-
5 minutes.
And there was one thing as far as the intent of that. I know that sometimes there'll be a bond that'll pass, and then it's not used until the very end, but we're still paying interest and all that stuff. It's about that accountability part of that. That's how I understood it, if I remember right, how some of that conversation went. So, if I remember right, that's how it went. It's the fact that
We want to
Yeah.
make sure. I
we're going to
always say the
make sure it's
worst
being spent.
The
more
worst thing I
upfront
can
than
do
it
is
after.
earn interest on money in the bank, because if it's in the bank, it's not being utilized for the citizens. I've issued the bonds and I'm not spending it.
I was going to say that's what happens. It
Yeah.
earns
It's a time.
It earns interest.
It earns interest
in the
Okay,
bank,
so we were
and I'm
thinking we were
paying
paying
interest.
interest as far
No,
as.
no,
Well, we're
interest
paying off the
was
bond
one of the concerns.
while cash is sitting in the bank, and that's
So you're-
something
yeah.
I don't want to do.
That nasty word arbitrage that you.
Yeah, there's a little bit of arbitrage
We
there.
are paying interest on the debt service, and then we're earning interest on the cash, but there's limited
Won't be
use
as
of that. If you earn too much, the IRS takes their piece.
Yes.
Which we haven't had the problem
Yes, we have.
Very careful.
We have arbitrary
All right, so
liability.
that brings us to the end of the proposed recommendations.
Yes, sir.
That brings us to item 3B on our agenda, council. This is to discuss and consider action regarding council direction to the Charter Review Commission. So this is our opportunity to say, hey, is there something here we think you should reconsider?
Well, I think that Jim needs to attend every meeting moving forward for all charters moving forward. So let's get that as well.
So Jonathan, I'm just going to go around. I'm going to start with you. You got anything in particular?
I think I said everything I needed to say.
I said everything. Do you want to do you want to codify that? Anything in particular you want to mention, or?
I do feel pretty strongly in agreement with Councilmember Rogers on the flexibility that I think we need in terms of the public communication. I think we absolutely need to improve that, but I think that it's one of those areas where technology is going to change, and I think we're going to need some flexibility. I think the other thing, I hopefully, and I'm sure you all have heard this loud and clear from everyone on council, I would hope that you all have a spirited conversation about what should be a policy versus in the charter. One last time. I know you all have done a lot of that already. You're like, what? Never. I know you all did. I watched the videos, so I'm familiar with some of those thoughts. So just again, I think our city manager brought up a very good point about what are the voters actually going to understand and be willing to do here. So that's a really smart lens, I think, to think about it.
Caesar?
Just going back to what we talked about earlier about the city manager, missing, revisit that, I guess. Think about him striking that or not.
Striking which one?
It was,
No, I mean you got the alert. We need to get home.
You
said that we need to get home.
Come down.
Yeah. One person at a time, please.
Apparently there's a hailstorm
severe
on the way.
weather.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
All right, so let's get through this quick.
So that was real
Caesar.
quick, Jim, and then,
I'm sorry, that was
4.01, number 4.
Thank you.
Just what we talked about earlier, and then the other thing would be, just that 11.05, the public participation.
Yeah.
B, just wanna make sure we're not forgetting anything. You know, any other form of communication or any other form that people could, participate in, something like that.
All right, Kimberly, you said you had nothing?
No,
I
just want to express my gratitude. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Rudy?
You're so welcome.
We celebrate our elected officials. Happy
I would just ask for your chair to go back, and he makes copious notes. Go back and watch this meeting, see my comments on there. Biggest thing is that let's have a conversation about public engagement.
And you thoroughly discussed all of these recommendations to us. If we were going to look at everything that could possibly be taken out, I think this would be a lot longer process. I don't have any issues with the amendments that you proposed, and I think you should move forward with what you worked on so hard, and I appreciate your time.
All right, David?
I've said everything I need to say. I really appreciate Gregory and Jim, your willingness to listen and respond to everything. We got a big hailstorm coming, so I don't want to keep anybody any
let's
longer
go,
than
guys.
necessary.
All right, so we got one final thing on our agenda that's discuss and consider action regarding extending the term of the Charter Review Commission. Do I have a motion? How long do we need to extend the term?
How much longer?
Just one more month. That's
4 months.
All right.
Mayor, would you entertain a motion to extend the charter commission by 1 month?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I don't know if I've got this on the system, so Jonathan?
Aye.
Yes, but
Yes.
Yes.
the charter says you have to say yes.
Oh.
Kimberly?
Yes.
Rudy?
Can we change that?
C.
Melody?
No.
David?
Jawohl.
Mayor votes yes, passes
So we got our
by at
rate.
least
6
5.
by late 5, 6, 1.
And before we
Oh, I
leave,
said no. I think
not
you're-
All right, you got to adjourn
What did
too.
you say?
Jawohl.
I don't know what that means.
So,
Okay.
Jim?
so for my CRC, it sounds like, do you need to stick by your email for another meeting to be scheduled?
That
has already been
Please,
scheduled.
please, do the best you can.
Mr. McDonald, Mr. McDonald, Mr. McDonald,
8:20.
that has already been scheduled for June 4th.
It's already been scheduled. Tricia said it's already been scheduled, so, yeah. Everyone needs, yeah.
June 4th.
Okay, it is 6:29, we are adjourned.
Hey, before we leave,